Hey guys, and welcome to the One Build Battle Royale tournament. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, it means you get to choose one build, you design your army, hopefully it shall be glorious, and then you use that single army for the entirety of the tournament. So it makes a few, tactical decisions in your mind. Do you go completely balanced army, try to bring a little bit of everything, or do you overload in one department, go and bring a load of heavy, big dinos? And we've certainly had some rather interesting army selections today, a ton of Dowie. They're heavily armoured, of course, so if your opponent hasn't brought armour piercing, they're going to be in a bit of trouble, and your opponent has probably brought anti-large as well to try and cover all their bases. So Dwarfs, very powerful here, Bretonnia as well, getting some really nice death blobs. Now up first, we do have Von Carstein up against Guzzums here, Vampire Counts and Bretonnia. I'm going to drop the bracket as well just now into chat for you guys, and you'll be able to see that we're currently waiting for all the other guys to get going a little bit. So up after this, we have ALDB and his Dwarfs, either taking on Isaiah 4 and his Tomb Kings, or Logical EU and his Dowie. Up after that, we will have Pugnabon as well of Wood Elves up against Ninja Pingvin, or Count Leek bringing Nakai, which would be rather funny. Unfortunately, the other semi-final, or quarter-final has already been played. So just going to be skipping over that one. I'll explain the situation when we do get there. But I hope you guys are all good. Hope you're happy to be tuning in here. And we'll get this first game underway. Ready to roll, lads. These were the first guys ready, and I don't want to keep them waiting any longer. They've been waiting a little while. So we will be hopping in here and getting stuff started. What's up, Beastmaster? How's it going, buddy? Hope you're all good. Good to see Blackthorn here as well, so that you couldn't get in time for check-in. Oh, no, man, that sucks. We'll have to have you back on the channel at some point soon. I'm going to do some more events in the future. I'm not going to lie, this tournament has been incredibly stressful, so I might not do a tournament next week as planned. I might do one the week after. We'll have to wait and see. I might just do some more chilled streams. ALDB in chat as well. Hope you're doing all good, man. I'm very excited to see your Dwarf forces in actions, because ALDB is one of our quarterfinalists, and because this, of course, is going to be a best-of-one situation, because you're bringing the exact same army every time, it's going to go relatively quickly as well. Now, I'm pretty excited for this, because I took inspiration from Loremaster of Sotek's tabletop tournament as a tabletop player back in the day myself. I thought it'd be good fun to try out this format, and we will be trying to experience with it in the future as well, and it'd be interesting to see how the meta changes. If, for example, Dwarfs are the dominant faction brought at the moment, then people may bring counters to Dwarf in the next one, and so on and so forth. But always interesting to see Vampire Counts getting far in competitive play, considering most people don't like them. But I think in the hands of a good player, they are rather nasty. So, speaking of Bretonnia, got some on the left-hand side, but let's go through the Vampire Counts forces. So for Guzzums, dotted all the way along the front line, we have cheap and very uncheerful zombies. Meat shields here to absorb the damage. It really isn't a Vampire Counts build, unless you have brought them in. We also have a ton of Skeleton Warriors dotted along the front line. It looks like they're going to be backed up by some more elite Graveguard, one of which is the Sternsmen, the Regiment of Renown, who are pretty scary stuff for sure. Up in the skies, we have a bucket ton of fell bats going to be looking to swoop down upon the enemy and rain terror, harass back lines. They're going to be quite important here. We also have double Vargulf in the back here. These gigantic, angry little bat piggy type creatures will be the heavy hitters in this build. Alongside Vlad Daddy, we have Vlad von Carstein looking really cool here. So he's going to be coming in, of course, with the Carstein Ring, Master of Beguilement, Arcane Conduit. We have Wind or Death, Raise the Dead, as well as Invocation of Mahek and the Blood Drinker. A really good tool set. We also have some Blood Knights in the back lines there. So, yeah, pretty scary build. Now, for the forces of Bretonnia, who are really quite powerful at the moment, coming in with Spearman Arms dotted throughout the front battle line, but slightly in vanguard position, we do have the glorious Peasant Mobs looking to trade toe-to-toe up against those pesky zombies. Just behind them, we do have some Questing Knights on the flank. Looks like one on either side, one of which is the Companions, who are very, very powerful. Arguably the best cavalry in the game right now. And we have a ton of Peasant Bowmen with Pox Arrows dotted along the back lines. Some more Knights as well, just in the corners, trying to catch out any vanguarding troops. So really cool stuff. We have a nice little hero blob as well, which is so common at the moment in the meta, and you can see why. It's pretty powerful. We have a Paladin, as well as the pesky Fey Enchantress. She's a slippery little devil, pretty hard to catch, and can do some really nice healing. Coming in with Earthblood, Regrowth, Arcane Conduit, and Chalice of Potions. And then we have the Green Knight, the legendary hero, of course, is ethereal, so only magic damage can really affect him. Good luck, have fun, lads. Yeah, no worries, Legion. I'll speak about it at the time. It's fine. It's fine, bud. I did get the replay. We're just going to skip over that quarterfinals. I'll get to it when we get to that point in the stream. Because, yeah, I watched the replay. There's just no point casting it. I'm afraid. But yes. I'm very excited. Yeah, ALDB, if you are still in chat, please do make a lobby with your opponent when you know who it is, and just let them know that they're waiting for stream, get them to tune in. Anyway, here we go. This is going to be a slow grind fest for sure, with just peasants and zombies just slapping against each other. But I think the Fey Enchantress is going to be a key compartment here for Von Karstein. If you can keep her alive, her draining effects and so forth will really help her grind through this force. And there's not too much on the Vampire Count side which can actually catch her and put her in a bin bag rather quickly. You do have the double Vargulfs who will be relatively effective at it, but there is a Paladin for support as well as the Green Knight is going to make it slightly trickier. Both the forces' armies slowly waddling towards each other, as is the way with such troops. What's up, Zachary? Rabadad of War. I'd bring Skaven with 3 Giselles and 6 Gutter Runners and 6 Wolf Rats. Die. Yes, yes. Well, we will hopefully be doing more of these in the future as well. It's been a fun little experiment. We're probably going to give it a week or two, and then we'll come back and do another one. So feel free to submit that in the future. I'll be excited to see in action. Anyway, Fey Enchantress is going to go for the Leroy Jenkins approach, charging headlong into zombies. And as you can see, she's going to be draining these pesky troops and not really going to be able to do any damage to her. Her mighty peasants do chuck their bodies on the line as the front lines do engage. Direwolves combing straight in here onto the peasant mobs, trying to break a hole through. But it looks like some nice counter charging by Von Karstein. Quest Knights trying to loop up and around and then slamming the flank of this unit. All along the front line, peasants are dying in droves, but that is what they're there for. In the back lines, we do have Fellbats who have managed to swarm some peasant bowmen and are doing a decent job as well, trying to scare these guys for now. But in come the companions, as well as more questing knights who should be able to dart in here and finish off the Fellbats rather easily. But it is distracting them away from the front line, which the Vampire Counts may be able to grind through at this point. Von Karstein, or Vlad Von Karstein, has managed to engage the Paladin. In come the double Vargulfs, going for an assassination attempt on the mighty hero of Bretonnia. Looks like Von Karstein does realise what's happening and is desperately trying to pull back. Looks like he should be able to escape for the most part. Over on this side, it is just an absolute mess here of doggos and horses trying to claw each other apart, and the Fey Enchantress is right in the mix, which is going to be quite favourable for her. It looks like we do see a zombie summon coming down in the back lines, trying to mess up such troops, as the Sturmans try to move in as well to saturate on top of some of the lighter infantry. Double Vargulfs trying their best to pound down characters, but the Green Knight is here now, as well as the Double Knights, and they're going to do a fantastic job up against such beasties. It's already looking a little bit rough here, but a big fat Wind of Death comes down the line, catching some of those Knights of the Realm, and oh my god, look at all the shatters. 3 units do shatter, although they are in, peasantry, so it's not the end of the world, and the companions were hit as well. Lovely Wind of Death. We saw a fantastic one in yesterday's stream, not quite as spectacular, but still very good stuff. Zombies are going to be getting a lovely surround with some skeleton warriors on the men arms with polearms here, and more zombies are starting to pressurise the peasant bow line as a big chalice of potions does come down, clobbering the Sternsmen, doing some lovely damage. A lovely close grindy fight so far. The Knights of the Realm getting very beat up at this point. The companions getting a regrowth, however, to try and cheer themselves up. But the hero core of Bretonnia is going to be so nasty for the forces of the Vampire Counts to drag down. Although Blood Knights are supporting, they're going to be a good unit up against pretty much all the troops left. On the back line, Skeleton Warriors and Zombies pushing through and forcing off the Bowmen. And yes, they might not be able to catch them very effectively, but it's keeping them away from the main engagement, and a lot of the Knights are having to commit to this main fight. And all of a sudden, the Vampire Counts not looking too shabby after a bit of an initial scary start. That Wind of Death really punching back quite hard. You can see Vlad Daddy up to 185 kills. Double Vargulfs, though, are a little bit isolated at this point. They don't have too many friends nearby apart from the Sternsmen. Want to fall back out of this. There's too many heavy hitters in here, going to be doing some lovely damage to them. However, obviously, Guzzums is trying to micro other units such as the Blood Knights, who've got a lovely charge on the Knights of the Realm as well as the Fey Enchantress, but they could do with some healing up. More zombies have been summoned in the back line to try and push away the peasant bowmen and continue to put pressure on them. You can see a few of them actually breaking here as Graveguard are forcing them through, but these Graveguard do need to be in the main grindy blob fight if the Vampire Counts want to succeed, but I understand the need to chase down at the peasant bowmen as well. Hero cores looking pretty strong so far. Quest Knights getting an Earthblood on them. Fey Enchantress is still incredibly healthy. However, the Paladin has had the absolute holy snot smashed out of him at this point. He's taking damage in the rear now, and if they can chase him off, this would be glorious stuff. But it looks like all the Fellbats were obviously finished off early on, and really nice micro by Von Karstein, repositioning his peasant bowman down this line to try and fire some shots in to this main blob fight. It looks like another debuff has gone down on the companions. Unfortunately, these units will be able to rally. You can see the Paladin coming back. The Knights of the Realm should come back as well, although they are dangerous close to the edge of the board. But they should be getting a nice Earthblood or regrowth on these troops to keep them fighting, and that is one of the annoying things of going toe-to-toe with Bretonnia. the Vargulfs are currently really struggling up against the Green Knight, and I do not believe Vlad does magic damage. No, he does not. So they're really going to struggle to bring him down. It looks like another Potions of Chalice is going to be coming in from the sky in just a second. There we go. As it is summoned into the mortal realm by the Fey Enchantress. And kaboom! Catching those elite Graveguard there. The Sternsman, in fact, doing some massive damage. And the Green Knight here may be able to carry with the Bretonnian Hero Corps. For in the distance, the zombies are forcing back Peasant Bowmen once more. If they can break them, they're relatively close to the board edge. But it looks like some rather brave Knights of the Realm have popped in to try and save the day, although they themselves are starting to break morale-wise. Balanced power is now heavily favouring the Bretonnians. But a lovely fight here by the Vampire Count's player, and they match up with the builds they had, which I think kind of favoured the Bretonnians quite heavily here. He's done a fantastic fight back so far. Paladin, of course, getting healed up. Another use of that zombie summon in the back line, trying to get the debuffs down on the Questing Knights by attacking them in the rear and breaking up this main force right here. More zombies are chasing the peasants, but they can run for days. Peasants are dangerous over short sprint distances, of course, and are now turning and starting to rain fire down in on top of the Vargulfs as well as the Blood Knights. And it looks like that is going to be game. We have the Graveguard trying to hold firm in the central pocket here, doing decent damage up against the companions, but there is simply nothing now to deal with the Fey Paladin Green Knight combo, and it looks like the Vampire Count's forces are going to be getting drained out here. What's up, Logic? How did your game go, buddy? Yeah, Vampire Counts, yeah, I understand, like, he wants to get his hounds in to try and really tear through those peasants as quickly as possible and break a flank. But yeah, he needed to keep them late game, because now what you can see is the peasants are just raining fire down in from all directions, which obviously is a big problem for the Vampire Counts. They are the master of the blob fight, but you'll often see a lot of factions go toe-to-toe with the blobs up against them. Looks like the Paladin going to be trying to claim some glory in the eyes of his lady here, going up against Vlad von Karstein, and she's going to come in just to have his back and start pushing over the mad, cackling vampire himself. But apart from that, it is just Graveguard. If you have a look around the battlefield, there is no other Vampire Count reinforcements coming in. It looks like they shall be getting dragged down. Paladin has been finished off at last. He's been driven from the field at this point, but he's getting another Earthblood, and he's got some good usage out of him so far. That Wind of Death was a really lovely cast, which kept the Vampire Counts in it for the most part. If he had another one here, that would be so disgusting. But Vlad, unfortunately, can't carry up against such reckless peasantry. Karstein Ring has been popped on in. We can get a lovely little cinematic zoom in as explosions and knights do hack and try to render the von Karstein armor asunder, and they did a pretty decent job. Peasants are firing in as well, not really caring too much if they hit their own knights. I guess that's a little bit of playback. Hey dude, a good win. Nice, so you are through. Well, you're going to be up next, so it is you. Oh no, guys, we have a dreaded Dowie mirror match, I believe, in the next matchup. Anyway, Vlad von Karstein, the real backbone of this Vampire Counts build. 3,000 damage value. Fantastic stuff there. Also, 24,000 damage dealt. Really solid play by them. Good mileage as well out of the Vargulfs, despite the fact there was a lot of kind of angry Questing Knights lurking around Paladins and Green Knights. The big loss, though, was the Fellbats diving at the start's not terrible, because it did enable the Vampire Counts to get the upper hand in the melee engagement, but suiciding in the Direwolves was, of course, a big problem. Fantastic micro from von Karstein as always. You can see massive damage value, all of them getting over 1k1, nearly getting 2k damage value from his Questing Knights. And then the Peasant Bowman effectively did get shut down, but still managed to return now and again to poke some damage. And the Fey is absolutely disgusting. The Green Knight, who would have thought we'd be seeing him? 2,400 damage value and 2,400 from the Fey. That is some scary stuff. GG. See you in the semis, Von. And thanks for playing Gums. Or Guzums. Cool stuff. Check Rubber Duck Discord. Oh. I'm getting spammed with messages. How's it? Cool. We're just going to be sorting this all out. So it looks like Ninja. Have you played Count League, Ninja? That is the big question. Cool, just sorting out some admin and stuff there, but very well played to those two champs. We will be moving them on, so I'm just going to update the scoreboard for them on the Legendary Challenge. And then we're going to be hopping in to Logical_EU versus ALDB in a Dowie mirror match, which is unfortunately going to be pretty disgusting and scary. So let's hop into that. Hopefully I can see them, if not I'll just pop them a little message. Where are you boys? Cool. I'll drop them a message on Discord. Cool. Send them a message and we will get that sorted in just a second. Oh, what did you guys think of that first game? Davina, my poor died chat and co got slaughtered by foul Dowie. Luck of the draw. That is the problem with this matchup slightly. Of course, it is going to be a big old fat luck of the draw. With if you take a faction, which gets heavily countered by another one, it's just unfortunately a little bit too bad there. But you can come back in next time and try to get a little bit more lucky. Always good to have you in action here. Surprised if Vlad doesn't have magic damage. I was a little bit as well. He'd be very scary if he did, however. Yes, Dowie. Sad to see a civil war, though. Oh, for sure. So let's see if the boys have opened up a lobby just yet. Is it this one? One of them is called One Build Battle Royale. Let's go through and have a little look-see. We can spectate and see who's actually in here at least. Oh, it looks like Ben is here. Cool stuff. So Logic is in. I'll tell him to invite his homie. Invite ALDB. Cool stuff. Ah. Okay, they're just trying to sort out whose lobby to be in. Oh, I'm just going to add ALDB so I can invite myself. And we'll go from there. So sorry about the delay, guys. But we'll be there in just a second. So, let us add friend. And then get to it. But who's your money on? So we've got some Dowie on Dowie action. I think they're two very different builds as well. Cool. So I've added one of them as a friend. Oh, it looks like he's in. Cool. Awesome. Map is Altdorf. Unrooted Outdorf. Outskirts. Let's do... I don't want them to start just yet. Let us do River Maxon. Cool, and then we get this going. Oh my god, I might throw to not play Dowie finals. Yeah, that'd be some pretty disgusting stuff there. It'd be better than if I win versus Dwarfs in the semis. Exactly, so you're rooting for the Bretonnian death blob here to come up and face you. So, for those who don't know, Logic is actually a YouTuber as well. I believe he mainly focuses on campaign stuff for Total War Warhammer, but is also going to be branching out to doing some more multiplayer stuff as well. I've actually had a few streams where I've been on his streams, on his channel, so feel free to go check him out as well. He's a super cool dude. And is representing the force of Dowie here. You need to set map. I believe this is his first tournament as well, so coming in a little bit of a newbie here. Hopefully to go in toe-to-toe with the mighty Grombrindle wannabe. And the ALDB, or ALDB, because I always say his name wrong, unfortunately. He's actually a really good player. I just mistook him for Grombrindle once, and it's kind of become a running joke. Haru is representing here. All my heart is with you. We don't really need a screen blocker because all the builds are set and everyone already knows everyone's builds. So for those who are joining late, This is a tournament where you pick a build, and you have to use that build for the entirety of the tournament. So everyone knows kind of what everyone's is by this point. Good to go. Awesome stuff. Then up after this, we'll be explaining the other quarterfinals. We're going to be skipping over that one, but it was won by Legion. So here we'll be moving on to the semi-finals, and then we have Pugnaborn going in for the finals. Give him the business as the Mountain King. Oh, Dowie on Dowie violence is never the answer, guys. It's never the answer. No worries, man. Hopefully that was explained well. I should probably update the brackets as well, but I'll wait for us to load in first. Or the overlays of the heads at the top, because this is now Logic versus ALDB. Lovely map this is. A River Maxon, the biggest lie in Total War history. So let's quickly hop out here. And change the names. So Logic on one side, representing the rapper, I am sure. And then on the other side, we have ALDB. Good stuff. And let's have a little look at these glorious Dowie on Dowie action. This is going to be painful, guys. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be so painful. Just settling some mind disputes. Exactly. Exactly. So, it looks like for the forces of Logic here, coming in with the Dowie, we have a mighty Dwarf cannon here, taking the high ground in a nice position. We also have a couple of units of Thunderers. It looks like 3 to be precise. And then the main battle line is going to be a mixture of miners, including the Ekrund miners, the Regiment of Renown there. And then a ton of Dwarf Warriors into the sunset, a ton of Longbeards as expected, and a bucket ton of Slayers. It looks like 3. For the leadership core, we do have Grombrindle, the White Dwarf. So, pretty simple build. It looks like the front line holds enemy back. Thunderers does the damage with the cannon, and Slayers to protect the back line. Although up against Dwarfs, he's probably going to want to start whipping them around the flank where possible. Now for the other forces here, for Aldeby, representing the Sons of the Mountain, he is going to be coming in with Belegar. So Belegar has a dispute with the Great White Dwarf. Seems like it's not going to go too well for Belegar if those guys do tussle in hand-to-hand combat. He is completely naked. We have a ton of Dwarf Warriors, dotted along, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons as well. We have more Ekrund Miners, so one of which must be a fake. We have Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, load of Hammerers, Ironbreakers, all the good stuff really, and a bucket ton of Thunderers, 4. So the Thunderers do outnumber on the red side, which is good news for them. Thunderers very good in this matchup. Those Hammerers could be pretty deadly, and as well we have some great weapons in the mix. We have a Gyrocopter up in the skies, so in a mirror match, I've got a feeling this build is going to be slightly better. We have more Thunderers, we have more great weapon units, and we have Hammerers in the midst. The one weakness of this build, of course, is the Lord option. Grombrindle is going to slaughter them quite comfortably for the most part, and we have the cannon for that long-range support, but the Dwarves probably going to go in a wide formation. You'll see their units like this are going to pull themselves as thin as possible, so they won't take too much damage. And sneakily in the back line, the Ekrund Miners are being used in a vanguard position. So if Logic's not paying attention, they will be able to swarm his back lines here. He is insane. He is insane indeed, man. Aldbees. Oh my god. It's something. Oh, the game is on Ultra. Why? Why? Oh, for some reason it wasn't switched to normal. Okay, it looks like Logic left it on ultra sizes, which is fine, because if they're both on Ultra and they don't mind, it's going to be pretty wild, but normally we obviously play on the standard large. But yeah, he is insane. I'm more of a single-player guy, so why mirror fights are so painful? Well, mirror matches aren't always painful, but mirror matches where, especially in this type of format, when the Dwarfs haven't prepared for it, it's going to be such a grind of Thunderers shooting Ironbreakers and so forth, particularly Dwarf mirror matches. Other mirror matchups can be really fun, Lizardmen, for example, and the Dwarf mirror match can be quite interesting. The ones we've had on the channel recently have been really, really fun. Good use of, like, Giant Slayers, using them as cavalry on the flanks and so forth, but, in this situation, it's going to be just a bit of grind. Cool. Go, go, go. If he's ready, there's good, look, have fun. At least the game will be longer, sure. So up after this, we will have Pugnabon as well with his Wood Elf forces up against either Ninja or one other opponent, I believe. I think they're still kind of waiting on their game for now. They got a little bit off to a slow start. So it looks like the Dwarfs course have been taking a defensive approach, position as the blue Dowie here, as we will now call them. The red Dowie will be forced forward with that cannon lancing shots in, aiming very wisely after the Thunderers. Thunderers and Hammerers are going to be the key targets here, and some of those cannon shots raking down the line there quite lovely actually, catching the Thunderers unawares, doing some pretty decent damage straight out of the gate. Looks like they're just saying have fun to each other, which is always good to see. Echo Miners are starting to move up into position as now, and they're going to be a bit of a menace, because those blasting charges on top of Slayers will also pay quite handily for themselves, and it looks like we don't have Giant Slayers, we just have these standard ones, which means they're not going to have that armor piercing, and won't be too fantastic in this matchup. So, certainly heavily favoured the builds here of Alderby. I think he's going to do a pretty good job here. Ironbreakers are moving forward. It's so good to see heavily elite Dwarven infantry. You never see Ironbreakers and Hammerers on the battlefield too often because they're rather expensive, but he's such a wide build, he's kind of enabled himself to do this. Thunderers are now starting to unleash shots and cannon shots going into the Thunderers as well, as the Dwarven Thunderers on the blue side are starting to push up and getting ready to engage. Acrominers taking a bit of a long haul here to obviously catch up with the enemy. Looks like Ironbreakers are the main focus of attention for the Thunderers, which is going to certainly soften up that front line if he is attempting to win it, but trading up against the enemy Thunderers would be pretty potent and deadly as well. Acrominers getting some blasting charges in, probably want to launch them into the Dragonback Slayers. Actually, the Dragonback Slayers aren't going to be doing too much this battle, so probably good positioning here and a good target priority by logic onto the Dwarf Warriors, and his Warriors are now going to take their charge from their great weapon wielding maniac cousins here. All across the front line, we have dwarf on dwarf action. Let's get a lovely cinematic shot all the way down. And oh, it breaks my Dowie heart. It really does. Dwarf warriors fighting longbeards. Longbeards fighting warriors of Dragonfire Pass. It is scary stuff. And the Gyrocopter up in the sky is not going to be doing too much damage. It's focusing down Slayers at the moment who are engaged in Dwarf Warriors. Of course, not going to be very cost effective for them, but they're simply trying to hold back the enemy and allow the Thunderers to rain fire in and do some decent damage. Cannon is up to 50 kills at this point. On targeting the Hammers will be really quite good, but it looks like the Thunderer game going rather well for Logic at the moment. His Thunderers outshading the enemies, but the front line is really where he's starting to suffer. Hammers have pushed through the central pocket, and Ironbreakers are throwing blasting charges into Miners and on top of Grombrindle. Hammers attempting to surround the Lorders. We actually have a Lord off here. Belegar versus Grombrindle, the fight of the ages, the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny. And Grombrindle is obviously comfortably winning. Belegar is going to flee, the coward. He is known for fleeing from fights, I've heard, and that's probably what this dispute is about. But now Grombrindle is out of position, and the Thunderers could punish him by firing in. Belegar is going to be falling back, but you can see the Hammers are driving a wedge into this Dowie force, hunting down the Thunderers. But a nice tactical reserve left in the back here by Logic with some of these Longbeards who are going to push forward and try and hold down the enemy. He needs to take these Thunderers now and crossfire where possible, but it is getting a little bit scary in the backline position. Acrominers have been caught up by Dragonback Slayers, who are paying the business over on them so far, and it looks like those Gyrocopters have started to hide in the forest from this Thunder of Fire. I think he needs to start shooting other targets instead. This is a incredibly close game. Grombrindle has popped. Grombrindle has no fear, given that lovely Unbreakable, as he does start to fall back to try and sort out these Iron Breakers. But he is now getting lit up by the Thunderer pressure, and that extra unit of Thunderers is really starting to come into its own now and pay big dividends into the battle. Dragonback Slayers starting to flood in as well. Cannon up to 95 kills. Crazy stuff, but there's nothing left to protect these Thunderers, and they are going to be trying to pull back and flee to their own Slayers. Lovely kind of spate and switch here coming in by the blue Dwarfs, but they are getting swarmed and overwhelmed at the moment. Grombrindle's trying his best to support these Thunderers who are firing point blank range into the Iron Breakers, just ramming those gun butts into their face and pulling the trigger. Grombrindle will do good in this matchup, but he's probably not going to be able to save his Thunderer brethren. Everywhere else, it's just an absolute mismatch. Logic has got a lovely surround on the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, but again, it's going to be a grind fight, and now the Thunderers are raining shots in, counter-firing these Warriors who have managed to push in the back line. We do have some Slayers, though, from Logic who return to the field. If they can chase down these Thunderers, he could find himself in a pretty good position. This is too close to call, guys. This is a crazy close game. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are losing slowly to Longbeards. Longbeards are, made of sterner stuff than basic Dwarf Warriors. This Thunderer Core, though, needs to be shut down. Otherwise, it's going to be a good day for the Red Dowie. And it looks like Slayers are starting to push in an attempt to do that, but I would disengage these Longbeards and get them chasing as well. And it's still a little rough, though. We do have the Ironbreakers, so the elite of the Red Dwarfs is still online. Hammerers are rather successfully butchering some Longbeards. These Thunderers need to reposition along here and kind of fire down the flanks. Cannon has finally been shot down as well by good dogged play coming in by the Red Dowie here. Dragonback Slayers will be able to drag it down and off its little pedestal here, despite the fact more Dragonback Slayers are fighting them and Thunderers are shooting in as well. They may perhaps be able to save the cannon, which would be pretty huge in helping to win up against all these Thunderers. Now, Slayers have managed to dart in, pushing away the Thunderers, going for a good target where they can chase both of them in one go. But the Ironbreakers and Hammerers are reigning supreme in this central pocket. And Grombrindle, try as he may, he cannot protect his Thunderer brethren. The Ironbreakers are simply too many. And it looks like Grombrindle is going to struggle a little bit there. And I think the balance power is now starting to go in favour of the Red Dowie, as he's swarming in all the back lines. Echominers have been forced off, so the Thunderers want to switch targets, but so has the cannon at this point. Longbeards are going to be falling back. Some Slayers doing a good job as well, mopping up that left-hand flank. But it looks like, due to some really good micro, he's managed to keep his back line alive for the most part. One of the Thunderers, as I said, that do just get absolutely slaughtered down to the last man by some Slayers. But there's still two Thunderers firing. And if we have a look at the Blue Dwarfs, it looks like all of their Thunderers are offline, apart from one who's kind of busy firing into some Gyrocopters. So this is normally the key in the Dowie mirror matchup, can be the Thunderer play. Shots still raining in. Longbeards for logic trying to chase the Warriors Dragonfire past, but they're not having any of it. They're simply going to fall back, allow the Thunderers to fire some shots into the rear. And honestly, guys, this has been a really awesome match. I know I spoke about Dwarf Mirrors sometimes being a bit terrible or a bit amazing. This certainly falls into the amazing category for me. Ironbreakers have surrounded the legendary Dwarf Warrior Grombrindle, who will hack and cleave at their thick armour, and should be able to do a pretty decent job there, but he is surrounded and outnumbered and unsupported. The Warriors Dragonfire pass falling back to help save some of their back line, it would seem, as we do have some Dwarf Warriors who are currently chasing away Thunderers, but he has another unit which is, counter-skirmishing in and along the line. Looks like we have Slayers versus Ironbreakers, certainly going to favour the Ironbreakers there, but we do have some Thunderers still alive and active. These pesky Gyrocopters haven't done much damage, but they've been a really good backline harassment tool, doing some fantastic stuff onto these Thunderers who have been forced off. Hammers, 204 kills. True warriors here, up to 1,500 damage value. It's not the craziest there, but good clearance of chaff. They've got through a lot of Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors and so forth, so lovely to see them in action. And it looks like this battle is pretty much over. Longbeards desperately trying to hold the line here, but there's nothing left to harass this back line. You can see good dogged play by the Warriors Dragonfire pass are going to force off these Dwarf Warriors, and these Tombs of Thunderers should be able to mop up the rest of the Red Dowie build here. They are currently just shooting into Longbeards, which is a good target. Hopefully we still get an epic duel between Belegar and Grombrindle, although it looks like Grombrindle is a little bit more worse for wears, but Belegar going toe-to-toe with such a legendary warrior could be some good fun. Gyrocopters simply floating over skies at the moment, having a little cheeky look at their opponents, seeing what's going on. And the Longbeards as well are going to start driving towards the Ironbreakers at this point. But it's a bit of a hopeless situation with those Thunderers firing in. Of course, the Ironbreakers here are outnumbered quite heavily and surrounded, but they've got a way more support. Even those Gyrocopters, who actually now have 83 kills, 1,300 damage value at this point in the game. Really nice stuff. Looks like Logic's Thunderers have managed to rally, and they're going to force off those Hammers at last. They managed to gain a Chevron, though, so really awesome display from them. I'm a really big fan of this build of Ironbreakers and Hammers. I wish I could use them more effectively like this. Grombrindle completely surrounded by Ironbreakers. He's been hacking at these guys for absolutely ages, but they're so tanky. Flash Bomb has gone down to try and lower their melee defense to allow him to carve through them a bit more, but only 40 kills on the Madman, and not the craziest damage value, kind of just been boxed down, and it looks like that is army losses setting in, and it's just the unbreakable units left standing. GG. Awesome game. That was some awesome stuff, guys. Dowie mirror, more dwarves, me equals more dead dwarves. Hell yeah. What's up, Elmo? How's it going, man? Yeah, Mortal Monster. Mirror matchups can be quite tough. what blasphemous stuff is going on? So we're doing a one build tournament, basically. So you have to pick one army, and you stick with it for the entirety of the tournament. There's a lot of Dowie players here because they're quite good in this format, so unfortunately we do have a Dwarf mirror match on the cards. The first match, however, though, was Vampire Counts versus Bretonnia, so, you know, we've got one more quarterfinals to go through, and we'll make sure the boys are on all track for that. So Grombriddle simply falling back at this point. I don't know what he's just, you know, running, having a good time. Looks like he's trying to maybe save his Longbeards, but they have indeed gone at this point. We have a few Slayers who are chasing down Hammers, but yeah, Grombriddle needs to engage in combat. Looks like he's trying to just find the juiciest heroic target to chuck himself into. It looks like it is going to be the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. I don't think the Mad Lad's going to get there, however. And it looks like, yeah, the Thunderer is just going to light him up. And this is a sad sight to see for Grombriddle, a mighty warrior slain by his own kin. Pretty disgusting stuff from the Dwarfs there. Ironbreakers do Cobian as well. It's going to go giving him a Viking funeral here, going through the fire and the flames as he charges in with a heroic scream on his lips, props a smoke bomb, and the Dwarfs are going to try and actually run away here, which is pretty funny stuff. I guess you don't want to fight Grombriddle. They should just surround him and really finish him off with blasts and charges and so forth. Friendly fire won't really matter at this point. Looks like we do have some Slayers as well, kind of trying to charge back in, but they're being lit up by Thunderers at this point. And Grombriddle going down with a fight, always good to see. And just look at this for an image. Someone needs to screenshot that's burning fire around Grombriddle as he has to slay his own kind. It's pretty disgusting stuff. But he did a good performance all round. Nice play and good tournament by both of these players so far. Gyrocopters actually did do some pretty good damage, despite the fact they don't have crazy AP, because they are, of course, just on their regular gyrocopters. But they do come in, of course, with the anti-infantry, which certainly helps. Heroic end. A heroic end for sure, man. For sure. Seems I managed to catch a mirror match. You did indeed. So that was some awesome stuff. Grombriddle kind of struggled a little bit, but some really good initial play by Logic put him in a relatively decent position. We can see the cannon got 1,200 damage value, 10,000 damage dealt. Thunderers as well, of course, do relatively good in this matchup, and so did his Slayers. Managing to push into the back line and shut down some of the Thunderers, but eventually, with some good kiting and falling back with his Thunderers, he protected the back line and pushed through the centre. And it really was a battle of the elite Dwarven infantry which carried the game. You'll see Ironbreakers 1,400 damage here, 1,200 here, and the Hammers 1,616k damage dealt. Very, very scary stuff. So really well played to both these champs, representing the dwarf culture, and unfortunately slaying each other. GG. Well played, Logic, and see you in the finals. Owlby. Oh, semi-finals. Cool. So let's check the bracket, see that everyone else is still on track. It looks like we're still waiting on Ninja and Count League. I'm not sure what's happening with them. Cool, it looks like one of the semi-finals just hasn't been played, or one's before the quarterfinals, so I'll message them. We might have to disqualify one of them if they've just been waiting too long, because we don't want to wait for them, obviously. Counter League. Cool, so we'll sort that out with them. And get back to it. Don't shame your ancestors, indeed. 1,600 gyros. Yeah, that was some scary stuff, man. That was a really fun match, honestly. Dwarf mirror matches, we've been really lucky. They've been pretty good fun ones every time we've seen them so far. So I'm just going to message the guys on Discord. We're going to try and get this sorted out, and then we will be moving on to the top bracket. So we had Legion up against Suave in the other quarterfinals. They've already played their game because Suave wanted to go do another tournament. And Legion knocked him out, but the game's pretty pointless to cast because as soon as the front line engaged, I think Suave decided to give in because the build was quite a big counter to his build. It didn't really stand too much chance. So far in the semi-finals, we're going to have Von Karstein up against Aldeby, who we just saw with the Dwarfs. And the other semi-finals will be Legion up against either Pugnabon or one of his opponents. So I'm just going to message them now, and we will get this going. They may be mid-game now, in which case we'll have to wait out. So these guys have popped in for now. Oh, I shouldn't have hopped out that. I think Pug and Bond did just pop in. Yeah, GG's, man. You did good, Logic, though. You had a good tournament. As I said before in the game, Logic_EU does have a YouTube channel as well, focusing on Total War Warhammer, mainly multiplayer, or mainly campaign, sorry, but is getting into the multiplayer scene as well, so feel free to check him out. Okay, they're currently in-game. So, let's host a lobby with Pugno. I'll get Pug and Bonnie in as soon as these guys wrap up their build. We'll chuck them immediately into this, so hopefully we won't have too much downtime. So Pug and Bon, do I not have you on my friends list? What heresy is this? Maybe I do. He might be under a different name. So, I'll just send a message. Just create a lobby. Cool. And we'll wait for Puck and Point to join, and we'll get the last quarterfinals underway. Then we have 2 semi-finals and a glorious finals. Of course, it was all going to be best of 3. And then... no, best of 1, sorry, not best of 3. Oh, my mind is frazzled today. We've gone on to best of 1s because everyone knows each other's armies. So let's choose an awesome map while we do wait. We can go Dustwatch Plateau. Oh no, Dustwatch Plateau is horrible map. Horrible, horrible stuff. Let's go Eschen. Hey, bud. So, it looks like Pugnabon is going to be bringing the Force of the Wood Elves, and I've seen his build, and I made a prediction when he sent me that he was going to go incredibly, incredibly far in the tournament. It is a scary build for sure. Aldby is the best! Yes, King Furious. He's got a few fans in chat here. He's a really cool dude as well. He sent me some really awesome builds. He has a really nice, like, full Slayer build, which is actually really competitive, and people, I think, underestimate such things. Is the game over? Cool. Looks like Ninja's messaging me now, so I'm assuming that game has been finished here. Which is kind of funny, because it's a High Elf versus Nakai game, so we're either going to have High Elves or Lizardmen here up against the Wood Elves. Apart from that, the semi-finals will have at least 2 Dowie forces in, Legion and Aldby both going for them, 1 Bretonnia from Von Karstein, and then we'll have one of Lizardmen, High Elves, or Wood Elves. So who is your money on? That is the main thing. Oh yeah, wait for these boys to sort themselves out. Oh, nice little stretch. I'm going to be doing a video today as well, guys. It's been a little bit late because this was an early starting tournament, so there will be a video sorted out afterwards as well. So pretty much after the tournament, I'm going to have some food and then cast a game and upload it. So there'll be one on later tonight. Not sure what it's going to be yet. I think it's a Tyrion game, if my mind serves correctly. There's some Tyrion versus Beastmen action. Good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff. So you've only been running for 42 minutes now, because it's best of 1 format. It enables us to do these quarterfinals, which is pretty exciting stuff. And this format all round is pretty good fun. You see a lot of builds you don't get to see terribly often. I bet on anyone who is not Von Karstein says Scourge of the West, who is, Scourge, I believe you may have invested interest in him doing. So it looks like Count Leek did win. Pass is 1, 2, 3, and called Pugno versus. Cool. I'll update the scoreboard for them. And we have Pugnabon up against Count Leek. So we have Nakai versus Wood Elves. This is going to be some wild stuff. So let's get my friend code on Steam and send it to him. Friend code if you don't see lobby. So then after this game, what we're going to be doing is going back down and facing the first semi-final, so the bottom bracket semi-final. I can send you guys a little link now. So let me pop this in here. Boop. We'll be going down to the bottom semi-final, which will be Aldby's Dowie versus Von Carstein's Bretonnia. Then we'll be coming back up afterwards to see the winner of Count Leek and Pugnabon face Legion. And then we'll be moving on to the epic finals, which should be some good stuff. So let's hope Count Leek pops in soon. His game is over. I love this format so much. Thank you. We had no one submit a Skaven build, Leo, surprisingly. Not a single person submitted Skaven, I don't think. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Someone may have, but there wasn't many. It was a majority were Bretonnian players, Dark Elf players, and Dwarf players. I suppose they got a nice well balance as well. It has been a bit of a nightmare organising this tournament at the moment, so I may not do it again straight away. We might have to think of a better way of doing it, and doing it in advance maybe, and ensuring everything kind of runs smoothly. As we're waiting on the Leakmeister himself. Yeah, it's a fun format. It's based off Lawmaster of Sotek's tabletop tournament, but we haven't changed the rules. We're just using banner rules. And Count Leek as well, I think this is his first tournament, so he's certainly going quite far here and making it all the way to the quarterfinals. He has a really exciting build. I'm very excited to show this off to you guys. So let's drop him a little message. And he should be popping in just a second. The Horned Rat is not pleased. Yeah, man, you need to pop in. You need to hop in, man, and represent the Skaven where possible, because we haven't seen them in a little while in the action. Come on, Leek, please answer. He probably wasn't expecting to hop into a game straight away, but we obviously had to miss one of the quarterfinals. So let's just pin him in this as well. You are up on stream. Lobby is made. Password 123. Cool stuff. So hopefully he'll respond in a minute. Of course, we're doing tournament rules, so you have the whole, we're obviously a bit more lenient, but we tried to give about 10 minutes wait. Yeah, Sandro, we've had some good games so far. We've only had 2, but we've got plenty more to come, so you've joined in a pretty awesome spot. We have the last quarterfinals, then we're going to have 2 semi-finals and a final to rock and roll. So still plenty of action so far. Thank you, Rival. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the compliment. But it's a cool idea. We're definitely going to do it again in the future. It just might not be straight away. I'm going to have a little sit down and think about how to better organise it, I think, next time. And what's the best way to actually sort it out. Looks like Leek isn't responding at the moment, so we are going to give him about 10 minutes to try and respond. Hopefully he hasn't hopped in another game. He might have gone to go grab a glass of water or something, because he did just finish a hotly contested game up against Ninja Pinvin, who is from our own DBD clan. So let's see. I'm getting sent lots of messages, but not from him just yet. Don't want to leave a poor Pugnabon waiting. I believe he's playing another tournament at the same time, so I want to try and get things moving. We can always hop over and do the other semi-final, but it mixes up the order so much. So I think what we're probably going to do in the future is we're going to host the tournament and then cut it off at the quarters, and then we'll do a completely separate live stream, like on a different day for the quarters onwards, maybe. Might be an easier way of organising it for everyone. Let's have a little sip of water, though, to keep me alive. Ice Power's joined in, but... You don't look like the right player. So Ice Powers hopped in, unless he's smurfed here, and maybe he's betrayed me, and he's actually playing the Force of the Lizmen. We'll message on Discord. Cool. It looks like Ice Power's going to be his opponent in a future tournament. But we need Count to hurry his butt. Bro. We may... Okay. Looks like Count Leak's going to be a little while, which is really frustrating. So, what we're going to do... go do your game. Go do your game. We will host after. So we're going to move on to the other semi-finals. So I'm going to have to speak to the players about this. The playing in 2 tournament thing, I'm not going to allow in future tournaments, because it's been a massive pain in the butt to try and organise, basically, between everyone. As your opponent is doing the same. Cool, so if Aldeby is ready, as well as Von Carstein, we're going to move straight on to your events, do that semi-finals, and then we're going to come back and do the quarter-finals and move on to the semis, is the best way to do it. So hopefully Puck and Von sees that. So hopefully Aldeby will be ready with Von Carstein now, and we'll pop in. But yeah, in future tournaments, basically what I'm just going to do is just... You have to, like, commit to the full tournament, and if you don't, then in future events, obviously, we'll have to, like, sort out a bit more. Cool stuff. Cool stuff, cool stuff. So let's make sure he's got the message. Cool, he has. So, let's hop out, see if the other guys made a lobby. If not, we can make one ourselves. So, looks like they haven't just yet. Oh, there we are. Albie versus Von. Perfect. That's nice and easy. So, I'm moving on to one of the semi-finals here. We're doing it in a bit of a wild way. Then we're going to go back to a quarterfinals, and then a semis, and then a finals, which I understand is a bit confusing, but if you follow the challenge page, you should be all good. So, map-wise, let's go for something a little bit fun. Let's whip out... I think we were going to do Eschen, weren't we? That was the idea. Hey guys. Eschen is the map. So we're back seeing some more Dwarf action. Hey, hey. Awesome. When these guys are good to go, we'll get this rumbling. I'm ready to play when they are. Perfect, man. No worries, Legion. You've got another semi-finals first, and then we'll have your guys up. Yo, I'm just here for the old ones. Unfortunately, fork my eyes, the Lizardmen struggled a bit in this tournament. Some of them managed to get through into the round before the quarters. But we only have... Actually, we have one. We do have one in the quarters, which is going to be Count Leak. So he's brought a really fun build as well. He's got Nakai. He's got Nakai, so you can't be too mad there whatsoever. We are ready, says Aldeby. Good to go. Good luck, have fun. Awesome. So it's going to be Bretonnia versus Dwarfs, and this is the same Dwarf build we've just seen. So it's going to... And we've seen the Bretonnia build as well, actually. So we've seen both of these builds in the tournament stream already. And don't know who my money is on. It's going to be quite heavily, I think, down to how the Questing Knights are used and if they can shut down the Thunder of Pressure, because that Dwarf front line is simply not going to buckle to a mixture of men-at-arms and peasants. Of course, the Fey Enchantress Paladin Green Knight combo is pretty scary, but... And we don't have Grombrindle either, so that Green Knight is going to be a nightmare to deal with. There's literally no magic attacks on the Dwarven Force. So just to recap for you guys, if you did miss this build earlier, he did manage to win up against some Vampire Counts with it. With a ton of peasant archers, as expected. A front line is a mixture of spearmen arms, peasant mobs, men arms, and all that stuff dotted along the line. And then we have some hardcore elite bad to the bones cavalry. With the companions of Quenelle, we have Questing Knights on the flank, Knights of Rome, and more Questing Knights on the other side. Leadership core is going to be a Paladin, mixed in with the Fey Enchantress, Earthblood and Regrowth, and the Potion are her weapons and poisons of choice. We also have the Green Knight, the Ethereal Knight. He's such a scary foe. Look at this horrific fellow. If he was running towards you, I'd be pretty scared as well. He's unbreakable, causes terror, and is an all-round general nuisance. As for the die build, this is honestly one of my favourite die builds I've seen in a while. We have a mixture of Dwarf Warriors and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons dotted along the front line with the Ekrant Miners, and we have the more elite Hammerers and Ironbreakers being used in the secondary formation. She looks like the Ironbreakers may have been pushed forward. Yeah, it looks like Ironbreakers in the front line, other troops left back to keep the peace. And 4 units of Thunderers, and they're going to be pretty huge here. If the Thunderers can stay alive and active, they're going to rinse the elite elements of this Bretonnia build, and therefore the Dwarfs will be able to win the grind game. If the Thunderers get shut down, however, Bretonians will be able to slowly pick apart this build with archers and cycle charging, and will perhaps be able to seal the deal. The Gyrocopter could be pretty key here as well, if it can get in the back line and really rinse those peasant bowmen down. Dowie Day, it is indeed! Today is a sword day, an axe day. Dowie gonna have a bad day? I don't know, man. People are pretty big on Aldby here. Yeah, tournament rules should be all good, I think. Tournament rules are just banner rules. They're just all banner rules, which is basically the traditional thing at the moment you use in tournaments. So I'm gonna have a little sip of my drink here to stay alive. Oh, that's that good stuff. Looks like the lads are ready to rumble. Okay, Von Carstone said it's lagging a little bit for him, so he's going to wait to see if it stabilises. I think chat's fine. It seems fine on my screen, so it might be on his computer side, because all the troops seem to be moving just fine, which is the best way to indicate if you just zoom in and have a little look-see. Have a little look-see how the troops are doing. Yes, hope you guys are enjoying. If you are, by the way, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I do drop Total War Warhammer content every single day, and you can support the channel as well via Patreon or YouTube memberships and YouTube chat stuff, all of that stuff. There's links in the description, or it's, you know, self-explanatory, normal YouTube stuff. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm interested to see Belagar here as well and how he kind of fares up against the Green Knight coming and charging in at him, because I'm assuming this hero blob is going to be going after the Dwarven leadership where possible. Green Knight is a good backline harassment tool here as well, shutting down the Thunderers who won't really be able to fare too much against him. Dragonback Slayers, though, will be able to slow him down and do some nice damage despite that massive physical resistance. Cool, looks like they are good to go and ready to rumble. So up after this, guys, we will be having Count Leek versus Pugnabon. They're currently both doing a best of one in a different tournament, and then they'll come back and hopefully they'll be ready by the time this battle is finished. And then we're moving on to the remaining semi-final and then the finals. Who's your money on, guys? I want to see Dowie win personally, not necessarily this matchup, but the tournament in general. Like, seeing Dowie win tournaments is such an epic sight. The peasants are going to be shoving a wall of steel. Yeah, this front line is going to have a really bad time. In this matchup in general is quite heavily Dowie favoured, but in particular in a kind of blind pick situation or a blind army situation. The peasant bowmen are going to have to do some brilliant work in really whittling down the Thunderers from long range, distract them, because if the Thunderers want to shoot in at the peasant bowmen, then they're not going to be hitting the Knights and all these other types of units. Knights are going to be darting down at the left-hand flank here at the moment, as they're going to have to, of course, do that slow push on the Dowie forces, who are kind of repositioning themselves at the moment. Taken slightly to the high ground with the Hammerers, but the Hammerers don't want to get charged, so we see Question Knights moving out onto this flank. If they come in and pound the Hammerers, they will do massive burst damage straight out of the gate. However, it's a nice little formation so far. Looks like a bit of a box build. The Dwarfs will need to start moving forward in just a second to continue with the attacking roll, although to be honest, it's not going to make much of a difference. There's plenty of room all the way around, and he's simply going to waddle through a few more feet. But it looks like his Gyrocopters are going to be engaging, which is good to see. So he's maintaining that attacking posture. They're coming out here, trying to chase down the Quest Knights and shove them away. Now, these guys don't have the Brimstone guns, which is really unfortunate for them, because Brimstone guns do massive damage to Knights, but still they're better poke and just a general pain in the butt. Thunderers are repositioning themselves as well, looking to try and counter where the enemy cavalry is going to be coming in from. We have a lovely little wedge here, so it's going to be quite hard for the enemy to break through. It's almost a kill pit. If you try to force your way through here, you're going to get crossfired by an absolute ton of Thunderers. And yeah, Quest Knights are just vibing at the moment on the sides, allowing the peasants to move up. And it's going to be a slow, measured approach for the most part. As I say that, we can see the heroes are going for the ultimate Leroy Jenkins, Jon Snow approach and charging headlong in. Fair Enchantress, though, takes an absolute huge blast to the face and almost transforms into the Green Knight there, coming through the fire and the flames. And he's not going to be taking much damage at all here. So they're going to be darting in, trying to focus down the Iron Breakers for now, whilst they're also healing up here. And this is a real rough matchup. Straight out of the gate, maybe just trying to draw the fire of the Thunderers to allow the Knights to come in, perhaps, as they are starting to push their way around the flank, using them as a bit of a distraction. Carnifex, and it looks like they have managed to blob them in to use a Potion of Chalice, but very nice play here by Aldby. He is going to be dodging that potion for the most part. Ironbreakers do push forward to unleash hell upon some peasant bowmen, but still a relatively okay hit in the end. doing some damage to the Ironbreakers, but it looked like that gambit did not pay off. Bretonnian hero and Lord Core there really suffering quite badly. Quest Knights have managed to wrap around the flanks and been coming in for a lovely charge into the back line. Dwarf Warriors and Warriors Dragonfire Pass are braced slow to try and hold back the Quest Knights, but these guys are armor-piercing anti-infantry maniacs. And in the back, Fey Enchantress has managed to swarm in with the Green Knight on top of the Thunderers, but she is taking horrendous firepower at the moment, and Belagar is on the hunt. She does pop down an Earthblood to try and keep herself topped up, but there's nothing shutting down this unit of Thunderers on this flank, and it is just raining in hell, and this looks like it could be a very quick victory for the forces of the Dowie. If the Fey Enchantress going down, that's all the magic of the Bretonnian forces gone. Quest Knights are trying to dance backwards here as well to try to charge into the rear of all these other troops, and this is worrying, guys, because if the Dwarfs win this final, and the Dwarfs, we have another Dwarf in another semi-final, we could have an all-Dwarf finals, which would be pretty insane. Peasant Bowmen are raining in fire at the moment, but not doing too much damage. Of course, they lack the AP, but the poison will come in to help. You can see Knights of the Realm and Paladins slowly starting to push their way through. Lovely micro here by the Bretonnians all round. Quest Knights now feasting upon Thunderers, which is doing a really good job. And the Green Knight as well, trying to go after Belagar, and is currently pulling back actually from him in a bit of a dogged retreat. More Thunderers are starting to rain in fire, but the Hammers are still live and healthy. They haven't been used yet at all, so they're going to be quite deadly in this late game. You can see the Bretonnians trying to focus on one flank at this point, but it is really tough going just because of the builds here. It looks like they're not having the best of times. Companions are going to be falling back here, done some decent damage to the Dwarf Warriors, but at the same time taking a bit of a pounding in return. Peasant mobs are returning to the fight as the Paladin lifts up the mantle of the Fey Enchantress to try and lead these Bretonnian forces back into glory. Without that healing, it's going to be very, very rough. I like the idea of sending them in to try and blob them up for that potion of challenge strike, but it unfortunately enabled them to take just too much damage from the Thunderers, and they did go down there. Companions coming with a lovely charge onto the Thunderers. These Thunderers are not having the best of days. Only 3 kills on them, and they are getting slaughtered to the last beardling at this point. The Men-at-Arms Polearms doing a good, decent job as well. They have managed to terrify off some Thunderers with the help of the Green Knight here, and the Dowie forced in a little bit of disarray over on this right-hand side, but you can see on the left, things are going very, very well for them. Belagar is charging in, cursing at these Quest Knights and rallying his hammers to the cause, who are going to clobber these pesky manlins in their dodgy armour. And now he has a really nice position here where he can once again protect the Thunderers, line up again with these 2 troops and use Miners, Dwarf Warriors, Ironbreakers, all these glorious troops to hold back the Bretonnian forces, who are currently getting rinsed at the moment. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are engaged in a kind of stagnant engagement up against the Quest Knights, which is really good for them because these Quest Knights need to be cycling to have any hope. Looks like Peasant Archers are raining down poison bowfire to try and aid the situation, but in return the Dowie are blasting and steaming rolling these Bretonnian forces. In the back lines, Green Knight and Paladin have cleared up once again another unit of Thunderers, but there's simply too many Dwarfs here for the Bretonnians to contest with. Green Knight could carry. Green Knight is doing a fantastic job, and the Leroy that will end horribly. It did, unfortunately. It would have gone okay. The Leroy Jenkins, if that Potion of Chalices had hit successfully, but unfortunately not too much there. No, not all the players going Dowie. Honestly, it's just all the players who went Dowie tended to do quite good. But a nice win there, solid stuff, and we will be seeing Aldby's Dowie forces in the final. But very well played to Von Carstein. Fantastic tournament by him all round. Really rough matchup. This build is such a lovely counter to his build. He tried his best. He got into the back line multiple times with his Quest Knights, but it's simply not enough to shut down such troops. So I've just got a friend request from Count Leak so we can get him in next, which is good to see. And from the Dwarf forces as well, yeah, you can see Thunderers just making fantastic damage, a lot of them over 1,000, and the Ironbreakers, Hammers, just barely untouched Dwarf build. That was a really unfortunate matchup for Von Carstein there. GG. See you in the finals. Awesome, so we'll be getting Pugnabon in now, and Counter Leak as well. But GG's! Spooky Skelly Skeleton, good to see you here, man. I often see you commenting on my videos. Hope you're enjoying the live streams as well. Yeah, the magic damage was going to be a bit of a problem. The stream is starting to seem being organised from some Reddit Dowie forum. Yeah, there's a lot of Dowie in action. Should be. Only 2 1v1s. So hopefully he won't have to wait too long. So let's see if the other boys have hosted yet, or if they're still doing their game. That was a rather quick game, so they might not be quite ready yet. Oh, this HOR versus Pug. I don't know if that's going to be the right one. Let's see. Oh no, Pokemon versus Ice Power there, so maybe. Let's spectate and see what's going on with it. Oh. Oh no. What have I done? What have I done? There we go. Spectate. Oh no. Let's send them a message quickly. Find out what the password is. Trying to search him on my friends list, but he might be in offline mode, I think. So let's send a message on Discord. What's password? Oh, I think I might have sent that to the wrong person. What's password? Cool, Count Leak is ready, which is good to see, so we're just going to be waiting on Pokemon. I think I accidentally sent a message to someone saying what's the password, so apologies if you receive a random message from me saying what's the password. Yeah, so we have one more game, Legion, and then you're going to be up straight away afterwards. So we have one game between Pokemon as well as the Nakai Wildin Maniac, and then it's going to be your game straight away, and then we have the finals. So I'm assuming it's this one. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. The ultimate password. Then, okay. If not, I'll just host a lobby and invite them both. Might be the best way of doing it. And we'll select a cool map. Let us go. Valley of Thieves. Oh. Oh no, my whole game seems to have crashed. Oh no. No! What's going on? Okay. That's frustrating. So, Total War decided to crash completely. Let's load that back up. Did this the other day as well, but only when we were coming out of games. It might be the new update or something. Cool. There we go. So we're loading back up now. Hopefully you guys probably just seen the black screen at this point. And there we go, it's loading in. Thank God. Whew. I was thinking that might force me to restart my computer, but it looks like we're good. Who won the last game? I just missed it. It was a win for the Dowie, so we are going to be seeing one of the Dowie in the finals. We now have a Wood Elves Lizardmen showdown. And then we're going to be having the semi-finals after that, which will be Dwarfs against the winner of this one. So it's been a bit confusing today, guys. Not much I can do. It's just we haven't been able to organise it, so it's kind of, you know, done in a nice orderly fashion of, you know, quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, because there's 2 tournaments going on and people wanted to play in both, which is fine because I didn't make a rule about it. But in future tournaments, I'm going to ban it from happening because it's been an absolute nightmare to organise when it shouldn't have really been, you know, too bad. So let's see what these guys say. Canleak said he's ready, but hasn't responded afterwards. So let's host again. Hopefully it's not spectator mode, which is crashing. If so, we'll have to get one of them to host when they're ready. So, what was the map? I can't remember what we were going to go for. I think it was Valley of Thieves. Let's do something else, just in case that was what bugged it out. So we go Languil instead. And see if those guys are here. So on the friends list, do I see them anywhere? Canleak is here. Awesome stuff. I'll send him an invite. And I'll send a message to Parknabon as well, let him know it is ready when he's done with his game. I don't regret playing versus Dwarfs, since now you can take 4 chariots. Hell yeah! Cackled and Skaven. Yeah, for some reason it did the other day when we were streaming, but only when we came out of lobbies and someone left, which is a big problem. Hey, so we have Count League. So let's quickly, for once, actually remember to update this. So it's me, Pug. And on the left side is going to be Count League. And let's move that back to the center. And I don't know if I have Pokemon on here. He might be in hidden mode. So I'll just drop him a PM, and then as soon as he's finished his game, we can get him in. And start. Sorry about the downtime, guys. As I said before, not too much we can do, I'm afraid. Ready when you are. Lobby is up. Password 123. That's all good. Oh, hope you guys are doing good today, though. We should have a lovely other Total War stream after this, done by Turin, I assume, because his Faction War is currently on running. We'll be finished our stream long before then, however, but I'll try and send you guys over if we manage to catch it at any point. Let's have a little sip of our drink as well while we wait for Pokemon. And I'm sure he'll be popping in just a second. So, no worries. Just waiting on Pug. And then after this, we'll have the winner of this game going up against in the first semi-finals, technically. And then we'll be going into the finals. Cackles in Skaven, Mwahaha. More targets to zap zap. Yes. Always good to see some Dowie getting zapped by Skaven, but unfortunately, yeah, Skaven weren't really represented. There wasn't many Empire. Darth Plays actually played Vampirates, but came up against Suave in round 1, which is a really tough matchup because it was like a Rush Chaos Force he was up against. Otherwise, his build looked really scary, and I could see him perhaps getting all the way to the finals. He had a really lovely build. He had a Gallows Giant as well, which would have been pretty tasty. But unfortunately, yeah, I ran into Suave. He had a good run. He kind of blitzed through the tournament quite quickly, but then got unstuck at the end there, coming up against some pesky Dowie. So whichever, I think I saw Lizardmen and Wood Elves up against Dowie. Ugh, guys, we could well be on for a Dowie final because Lizardmen and Wood Elves both struggle up against Dwarfs, and they're going to come up against a huge tide of them. So it might be the third Dwarf mirror match of the stream, which would be pretty funny stuff. But they've all, oh no, second one, but they've all been pretty good, to be honest, so I can't really complain too much. So we are just simply waiting on the man, the myth, the legend. I assume he's currently in his middle game. So this one, yep. As is the, yeah, this whole tournament. But yeah, Count League's build is actually really good fun. We might be able to go through it, because we might as well at this point, because, you know, everyone knows what his build is. He posts, obviously, on the channel where you can submit your builds. So we do have Nakai, which is going to be some pretty wild stuff. We have a Skink Priest of Beast, Skink Chief, a load of Skink Cohorts, as well as Red-Crested Skinks dotted along. Now, these guys may help fare slightly better up against Dwarfs than a normal Lizardmen build. But units like Chameleon Skinks and Skink Cohorts will be absolutely dumpstered, unfortunately, by Dwarf forces. However, Solar Engine, we have a Gary Federal Bastardon. It's a pretty fun build. I mean, a 20 stack of Lizardmen is always quite scary. Especially when you have, you know, a fair few heavy hitters as well. I think poor little Nakai is what might struggle, though. He is a bit of a meme, but Count League certainly a true champ for bringing him into this. Jesus Christ, I don't want to play versus this. You should be fine, Legion, because... I don't know, actually, I don't know. I don't know if you do want to play versus this. Hola Skinks. Hola Skinks indeed. It's a really fun build, so I'm a massive big fan of Count League's build here, but Pugnabon's build, oh, this is going to be quite good against, I think Pugnabon has gone real Glade Guard heavy, which may cause a bit of a problem, and it might do okay up against Dwarfs, though, the Mass Shear Glade Guard. But yeah, this would certainly swarm some Dowie forces, that is for sure. Oh, awesome, so Pugnabon has sent me his friend code. So let's get that started. I don't know why I wasn't a friend of him before on here. I feel like I had been, but... There we go. Sent him an invite. So we'll be getting this rocking and rolling. Gary, the hard carry. Legion not confident of dealing with this with his list. So he thinks he could be in a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of swarm in here. A lot of swarming, so it can certainly shut down the back line. And a couple of big Garys and Nakais to really punch you through that doughy, thick armour. Could certainly be in for a good shout. So I did just add Pugnabon as a friend. There he is. Oh, he's in. Awesome stuff. So we have the mighty sub-faction choice. Count Leek really stunting on his enemies here. But you know what? I'm not even gonna bring a lizard men. I'm gonna bring Nakai's lizard men. And he's sticking to his guns, of course. Lovely build. And then we have Pugnabon coming in with a terrifying force as well. Hey. So to get these guys sorted. Yeah, this is just a mass Glade Guard bowfire. Kind of a, not a kite situation. There's a decent amount of melee infantry as well. But it's relatively cheap and cheerful there to hold the enemy back. Durthu is the heavy hitter here. And you help support the Glade Guard. Now, that's going to take a bucket ton of micro to protect the back line. But this Wood Elf force coming up against Dowie would work, rather well as well. Nakai animation is best. Oh, Nakai when he, jumps in and swings around is so cool. Hi Anubis, how are you doing? Hope you're all good today. That's curse. It's always a curse. Skinks don't really have much AP. The red crested ones do. They come with these awesome double maces. So I'm going to have to see how the lads do deploy. It looks like we have some sneakiness already starting out over here in the distance. Is this going to be chameleon skinks? It is. So we have some chameleon skinks darting into the back lines on both sides. Going to be looking to try and put some early pressure onto the Glade Guard. Can be risky though. Glade Riders can certainly run them down. In the main front line, it is going to be a ton of skinks, of course, into the sunset. Cohort of Sotek, skink cohort, and cohort with javelins as well. And this is... Front line's going to do really well here. They can simply ignore the drives for the most part and try and whip around. And if you can shut down all the bows, you can then drag down the nasty other units. The Gary with Solar Engine could be quite deadly here. Does a good job up against Glade Guard. And of course that fire damage will work wonders on the mighty Durthu. For the leadership core here, we do have, of course, a Skink Priest of Beast. But more importantly, look at this little fella. We have a Skink Chief. And he's darting away from us, unfortunately. Looks like he's actually going quite near the back at this point. So we have a little Skink Chief, of course, cheap, cheerful, and does some good consistent damage over the course of the whole battle. With a Feral Bastildon, the mighty Nakai the Wanderers. Look at this true champ of the people. He's coming in completely naked, which is probably the best way to take him, as it does make him relatively cheap. Then loads of armor-piercing red crested skinks into the sunset. Really a nice build all round. What does the caster have? Let's have a little look. I think he's hiding in the butt of this Bastildon for now. Oh, might not be able to get to him. Where is he? Is he literally inside the bum? Yeah, look, you can see his little feet sticking out the bottom. Oh, this poor Skink Priest. Kind of Flock of Doom and Manticore summon. Now, for the forces of the Wood Elves, we have a ton of Dryads in the front line, of course, going to chew their way through the Skinks quite happily. We then have a nice little box of Eternal Guard protecting the flanks and rear, and then 2 lines of Glade Guard. So, not going for an onion approach, literally going for, I'm going to sit here and obliterate you, come and get it approach. And this is going to work nicely. I actually prefer this than the onion build in this situation because of Durthu. Durthu is a powerful melee combatant. He's coming with the Sword of Daith, of course. Very, very powerful hex. Or air effect, I suppose. And he's going to be supported as well by a Branch Wraith coming in with Melkoff's Mystifying Miasma, Pendulum, and Scroll of Shielding and Earthblood, which is really pivotal to keeping Durthu nice and top. This is the build I said when I saw it that I thought might go very far in the tournament, and it's certainly not let me down so far. With Glade Riders with Spears on the flanks as well to help protect. And looks like we are ready to rumble. Who is your money on? This is going to be a crazy game. Crazy game. Let's go, Nakai champ. Some stags to munch on. Yes, yes. I couldn't come up with a build. Oh no, Viking. Should have asked me. I would have given you a truly, definitely not meme, definitely glorious build to use. Ready? Good luck. Have fun, lads. So the winner of this will be facing Legion. So I hope you're ready, Legion. I hope you're spying out the opposition, coming up with some battle plans and getting prepared to how to deal with the enemy here. So yeah, Lizardmen looking Nice wide formation and try to wrap around as quickly as possible, which is the best bet. It's going to come down to can the Wood Elves protect their back line and really dish out that damage from this central pocket here. And we are underway. Wood Elves going to have to advance here because Gary, of course, does have the range advantage. Certainly not in numbers and damage output. The Wood Elves certainly you know, up and above the Elizabeth in that department, but range-wise, Gary should be able to at least force the Wood Elves out of their comfort zone. You can see Chameleon Skinks are going to be wrapping around the left flank. It looks like he did decide against putting them all the way in the corners. We have a couple over on this side. They're going to be supported by Skink cohorts as well, so the Glade Riders simply can't come in here and get this booty for free, and the rest of the battle line is going to be slowly pushing along. Looks like the Lizmen maybe decide to try and kite backwards at this point and try and get as much value as they can out of the Bastillon with Solar Engine, but it's not the fastest beast in the universe, and Wood Elves will eventually, you know, be able to pin it in and capture in a corner maybe. But nice blast so far. Good targeting as well. Trying to whittle down the Glade Guard, realising they're going to be a big problem here, simply due to the sheer volume of bowfire coming in, and the bowfire is now being unleashed upon the enemy. Red Crest Skinks trying to hide in the forest, but the elven eyes are rather accurate, and Wood Elves, of course, live in the forest. They know what this is all about. They know all the tricks of the trade. Bastillon here is getting absolutely roasted. I believe all of these Glade Guard are basic or Hagbane tips. So no Starfire Shards for that added AP. Just looking to really try to pound down Gary where possible. Looks like the lads were just saying they're ready and good to go. Bastillon is trying to trade this. I think he needs to fall back at this point, engage with the front line, come back in a little while later with Gary to do some nice damage, because he's doing okay here, but also taking a ton of damage on the approach. Skinks are starting to swarm now. A real big heavy flank overload on this right-hand side, with Nakai as well as the Feral Bastillon and the nice little Hero Core all going to try to punch it in one way through, which is a good idea. And also pressuring the other side with some Chameleon Skinks. In come at the Red Crested Skinks, doing a nice job on the Dryads here, slowly starting to chew their way through them, although Dryads will be able to win at these engagements for the most part. And it looks like Javelins are being copied into the Glade Guard, and they do some good damage, but need to engage in combat, really, to shut those guys down as much as possible. There's a big opening hole on this left-hand side where Chameleon Skinks can pour in and do some lovely damage to the Glade Guard. Nakai has gone, we've seen a lot of Leroy Jenkins approaches today, and he's gone straight in, balls deep, up to Durfu, slapped him in the face, and said, "Come at me, bro." And Nakai probably going to start regretting that decision in just a second. But the flanks are being overwhelmed here by Skinks, really pushing their way in and slaughtering some of these Wood Elves. This Wood Elf build is very good, but at the same time can be quite brittle. Cohort of Sotek getting annihilated by consistent bowfire at this point, and we do have a Feral Manticore summon coming in, which is now going to swoop in, maybe to try and help deal with Durfu, and Durfu is going to be a huge problem here. A nice central pocket has formed for the Wood Elves. They managed to protect them for the most part, although now the Feral Bastillon and Skinks are starting to swarm into this back line, looking to tear it apart. Nakai quite happily munching on some Eternal Guard. Let's get a nice little close-up of the meme trooper himself. Doing a good job, just hacking away at the enemy. In the distance, it looks like the Dryads are being forced off by Skink cohorts, which is a good idea to get them off the field, but at the same time, you want to pressure this central pocket of bows, as it looks like this flank is slowly starting to be secured now by Dryads and Eternal Guard, and that could allow the Glade Guard to fall back and reassess their situation while Durfu holds back the enemy. But the Lizardmen and Nakai are really streaming in now from all angles, putting huge pressure on top of the Wood Elves. Chameleon Skinks currently out kiting some Eternal Guard, doing some lovely damage to them. In the distance, Skink cohort and Chameleon Skinks having to wrap up some of the Glade Guard and force them off the field. Glade Riders and Dryads need to come back. Every number does count here. Can Durfu carry this? I mean, the Chameleon Skinks have used up a lot of ammunition at this point. So they're going to continue to happen. They need to kind of use it on the Glade Guard as well. They need to force off the Glade Guard and chase them down. But I would ignore Durfu from the Lizman player. Force off all these troops. Leave Durfu as a last bastion of hope by himself. Now, the Branch Wraith is the only one with magic here. Durfu has decided to go against it, so it's pretty pivotal that she survives. Skull of Children and Earthblood does go down, and it looks like the Wood Elves have managed to regain some composure. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units happily firing in. Counter-shooting Chameleon Skinks, though, isn't going to be fantastic because these guys have glorious missile resistance. And we have Skink cohorts starting to flood in once more. This is a very hotly contested game. We've had some fantastic ones so far. Durfu, though, is going to be mopping up the feral Gary here, hitting him in his place. Nakai the Wanderer is going to be swarming through, a happy little boy just dancing his way into Glade Guard. The Feral Manticore is going to be going after Branch Wraith as well. The Scroll of Children is active. Now, where is the Bastillon Solar Engine? Is it still being chased in the distance? It is indeed. So one unit of Dryads did have to commit to chasing that bad boy off the field. It's a good play because it can do massive damage to Durfu here. But Of course, yeah, it is losing one unit of Dryades to do so, and help protect the back line, because it's looking very rough now for the Wood Elves. Glade Guard have been shut down by Skink cohorts in the back lines. We've got red-crested Skinks, Chameleon Skinks, absolutely darting everywhere. Pugnabon is doing a fantastic job here, trying to stem the tide. Glade Riders are bouncing between combats, but there's just too many Skinks all over the field. Dryades are coming out now as well to deal with these Chameleons. Durthu has still been an absolute world beater in the centre, and I don't think we've seen him use his Swords of Dave yet. Or at least maybe he's used one, but we certainly haven't seen him use two. Branchwraith is being assassinated at this point, which is absolutely huge for the Lizardmen to get her off the field. And it looks like a Manticore Summon has dissipated at this point, but now Nakai's in a worrying situation. Does not want to get involved with Durthu one-on-one. Very wisely, just going to be falling back and fleeing out of the range, which is a very good shout for sure. Skink Chief, as well as red-crested Skinks, Chameleons just having a happy time out on this flank. Skink Chief, sorry, should probably just sit on Durthu, whittle him down over time, allow Nakai to fall back as well. You can poison down Durthu and stop him from being too much of a pest. Skink Priest has engaged in close combat up against some Glade Guard, but in the distance we should have a unit of the Dryads, or Pugnabon if he remembers them, can bring them back here. That'd be pretty useful to mopping up a lot of what remains of the Lizardmen infantry. Balance power slightly in favour of the Lizardmen, but not by a huge margin. Glade Guard with Hagbane tips are finding into Skink cohort as they advance. They're going to have to counter-charge into them. Not going to be a good time for the woodland folk there. We do have some more Glade Guard rallying to the cause, and Dryads as well clearing up troops. This is some crazy stuff, guys. I really don't know who's going to win this. The power couple of the Branchwraith and Durthu trying to show Orion and Ariel that these guys are the real new couple in town. A fat Earthblood coming down and not forcing off that Branchwraith earlier could be a big loss here for Count Leek. If Durthu manages to survive in this situation and keep getting healed up by the Branchwraith, there's not much left on this build which can deal with him. Chameleon Skinks unleashing every single shot they have into him, which is good target priority by Count League, but they're starting to run a little low. Nakai is slowly getting focused down here by some Glade Guard. Looks like the Eternal Guard as well are just going to be running through him for the most part, trying to chase the Skink Priest of Beast perhaps. And looks like the Dryads are now on their march back into the main battlefield. If we have a look at the mini-map in the top right-hand side, you can see how stretched this battle is. Really crazy stuff. Good micro by both players all round. I'll be completely lost at this point. Skink cohorts do manage to finish off and shatter some Eternal Guard. Need to bounce over now onto the other kind of units. Maybe get a surround on these Dryads who are moping their way through these Skink cohorts rather well, but they are close to breaking and themselves. Looks like a last bastion of strength has started to rally here. If we look ammunition-wise, there's pretty much none left for the Chameleon Skinks. We've got some javelins here, and that is about it. Of course, we have the little Skink Chief who dreams. He's not going to do absurd damage, but he's certainly going to be poisoning this guy and doing some good work. So far, he is up to 355 damage value, so he's already paid for himself. Anything now is going to be a bonus. In the trees, Nakai is slaughtering his way through Glade Guard, protecting his Skink cohort and Skink Priest allies. Although the Skink Priest is in a rough situation, being caught out by Dryads now. Got a little over-eager to hunt down the Glade Guard. Dryads are going to be able to chew through a Skink Priest with deadly efficiency and perhaps force it off the field. And losing those Flock of Dooms could be a big pain. I mean, it's not going to do huge damage to the rest of this Wood Elf build, but damage is damage at the end of the day. Dryad's going to be pushing in now onto the Chameleon Skinks with the help of Durthu. He needs one or two more Earthbloods, and if he gets them, he is going to be a big pain. Skink Chief continuing to fire in, of course. In the distance here, Glade Guard are shooting in to the red-crested Skinks. They tried desperately to rally to the Skink Priest's aid, and through the trees, what's that coming? It's Nakai! He's got so much swagger bounding through the trees, but it looks like the Skink Priest may get forced off before he does indeed get there. So the red-crested Skinks give up on this chase and instead decide to hunt down the Glade Guard and slaughtering them. Dryads, though, are going to give up on the pursuit of the Skink Priest, come back here and try and finish off the red-crested where possible. But in comes Nakai. He's getting that attack animation ready. He's skipping, he's leaping, and he's smashing. Nakai, smash. And he's going to do some okay work as well up against Dryads. 65 kills on the Meme Lord himself is good stuff. Ferrosodon has managed to rally here. Is surrounded in trees, though, by Eternal Guard, which isn't going to go too well. The rest of the Wood Elf forces are going to have to march in. They can't, of course, catch this Skink Chief. And let's see how much damage value he's gained since we last saw him. Just, 494, not too bad. Still decent ammunition left, but his poison's not having too much of an effect on Durthu because there's no other units engaged with him at this moment. Looks like red-crested Skinks are going to rally as well as that Skink Priest. Glade Guard have been forced off for good. Good micro here, though, by Pugnabon. Just going to ignore Nakai and try to finish off the units he can do damage to, which is the Skink Priest. Forwarding a little hit and run and flooding back out to this left-hand side a little bit more. Feral Bastiladon does have a Cold-Blooded on him to stop him from rampaging, and he's now going to be dragging back into the centre of the force here, as the Eternal Guard desperately attempt to chase him down. Dryads are swarming over. Branch Wraith and Durfu lurking in the trees now are going to be pushing their way forth, trying to get over here and aid their forces. And it's not often you see the Wood Elves out kind of mobility, you know. They're really struggling to catch some of these bigger, tougher targets like the Bastiladon and Nakai. And just look at Nakai just having such a whale of a time, just hacking his way through limbs and trees, doing a decent job. Chameleon Skinks and Red Crested Skinks starting to come in for a nice surround as well on these remaining Wood Elf troops. And Durfu is getting left in the wake. He's getting poisoned, slowed down. He can't keep up with his younger, more spriteful Dryads, and he's really struggling to get in here. Looks like we are going to see a Sword of Dave. What a Sword of Dave as well by Durfu. I don't know if this is his first one or not. It looks like he's getting a heal off on his troops as well. Fantastic late game management here by Pugnabon. Sword of Dave doing massive damage to the Feral Bastiladon, and it looks like the other troops, for the most part, are going to be able to escape it. But it looks like it has one off before Durfu can get here. You really want to drop that debuff when Durfu's fighting something like the Bastiladon, and he'll slaughter it in seconds. But it looks like he was trying to save his ground forces for the most part. If we look around the battlefield, it's pretty much what you see is what you get at this point. We just have a surround of cheaper Wood Elf forces. Oh, what's this coming in? Looks like a spell was about to come in. Oh no! No, guys, with an overcast. I think the Skink Priest killed himself in an explosion of blood, because I saw the cast go down, and then it disappeared, and I think he killed himself with an overcast Flock of Doom there. What a disaster, but it looks like the Lizardmen aren't going to suffer too much from that. Branch Wraith has been forced off at this point, as have the Dryads. We're just going to leave Durfu to try and tank all of this damage. Now, he's certainly capable of doing it. The big question is his leadership. I'm not so sure. If he has one more Sword of Dave in the back pocket, maybe if, you know, the Lizardmen come in for a lovely big fat surround, Durfu will be able to carry the day. But, you know who's been a pest? This little skink chief. He's done now some pretty decent damage, up to 682 damage value, all of it on Durfu. And it looks like the Lizardmen going to fall back for the most part, simply chase off the Branch Wraith. There's no need to engage just yet. Finish off the Branch Wraith, gather all your troops together, and really going for the final kill. I can't believe, guys, we may see Nakai in the semi-finals. That's going to be insane, and we could see Nakai in the finals as well, because this Lizardman build, I think Legion said he wasn't particularly confident coming up against it. There was simply too much swarm, so we may well have Lizardmen versus Dowie, and then versus some more Dowie, who knows. If you don't have them already, this game will give you it. I don't know what that was, but sad that my wife nor my best friend can't play this game. They both have phobias towards reptiles and rats. Man, you're going to have some phobias of rats after this game. I can't look at... I don't particularly see rats on a daily basis anyway, but if I did, I would be so scared of them trying to plot to overtake the world. Branch Wraith is going to be chased off here. Chameleon Skinks and Nakai are going to be sorting that out rather well. But looks like Durfu just going to be floating around, probably going to end up getting into some trees, I would assume, as the Lizardmen are just currently trying to kite him, which is fair enough, as they chase off these troops. But yeah, Durfu can just attack this way and slowly make his way towards the Chameleons and Nakai. Do you think he's going to be able to do this, guys? Do you think he should be able to hold? Let's go Nakai champ. I see in chat. Too much to protect, yeah. This is a good idea, by the way. I would watch a load of these. I will try and organise them in the future. This one, partly my fault, was like organised really badly, I think. So I'm going to really look at how to organise it to ensure the stream portion goes a lot more smooth. So we might have like the qualifiers in advance and then only stream quarters, semis and finals, I think might be a good way of doing it. Durfu is going to be plodding back now towards the Chameleon Skinks, as well as the Skink cohorts and the Javelins here. And so he can easily finish off this Feral Bastiladon if he gets tucked into him. Now, one thing that Count Leek needs to be really careful of course, big, scary Durfu causes terror. Skinks have really poor leadership. So he wants to get Nakai over here and at least help support his troops where possible. Looks like some Dryads have returned to the fray. They're not going to be lasting too long. That poor little Chameleon Skink, who's, or Skink Chief, so I keep calling him the Chameleon Skink, is now getting in combat up against the mighty Durfu. And this is not a fight that you want to take. Feral Bastiladon is going to be charging in here. Durfu very wisely going to turn to engage to him. He's one of the heavy-hitting damage dealers. Looks like Nakai is coming in as well. If we have a Sword of Dave left, now is the hour to use this. It'd do so much work here. Finish off the Feral Bastiladon. Probably, maybe even break Nakai, or at least do some really good damage to him, and probably break a lot of these Skinks. Durfu's leadership is wavering at this point, but Skinks are shattering left, right, and centre. Lovely cycle charging coming in here by the late game of Count League. So this is his first tournament, but he is playing fantastically well, especially with the Nakai build. But of course, the big wide stacks of Lizardmen can perform relatively well. Nakai is going to be falling back at this point. Durfu is going to slap the rear hind off that Feral Bastillon, breaking it from the field. Balance of power is heavily Lizardmen favoured still, due to the health of Durfu most likely. But a lot of the troops are continuing to break here, and Durfu still has 1,400 health. If his morale holds, I think Durfu wins this, but that's a big if. And Nakai comes in with a massive slap, doing 300 damage on a thunderous charge. Nakai OP. We need to get rid of some of that glorious 32 charge bonus of his. Durfu is barely holding on at this point with 4 leadership. If he holds, he wins. This must be so frustrating for Pugnabon. As another charge comes in from Nakai, catching Durfu in the rear. A big old slap from his mighty mace, doing some good damage. Leadership -5, back up to 10. Durfu is on the edge. Can he get a good slap on Nakai? It looks like he can't. -17 leadership. This is going to be it, surely. Durfu is bouncing back and forth. All these units getting that lovely surround, whittling him down to 900 health. Will he be able to hold? And he breaks! No, Durfu! A heroic victory for the forces of the Lizardmen. That was insane. If he has another Sword of Death, it may be a mistake not to engage. Yeah, he need like one more sword there would have killed everyone. That was insane. Well played to both of these true champs. Pugnabon with a glorious build. This is actually can work very, very well, and you can see he performed very good in the tournament so far, getting all the way to the quarters, but there was simply too much to protect up against a 20 stack, and you don't see 20 stacks very often. Durfu, 17,000 damage dealt, 2,500 damage value, really carried the game and nearly sealed it for the Wood Elf forces, but Nakai, it's Nakai. Nearly 100 kills on the Kai. It's beautiful. 759 damage value, 6,600 damage dealt. Gary unfortunately gets shut down a little bit. The second one doing rather good. Chameleon Skinks across the board getting glorious value. Real MVPs here, as well as the Skink Chief as well, has been a constant pest in the end to Durfu. GG, crazy stuff. Miss microed. Unfortunately, GG, crazy game. So, leak. Stay in lobby. And then we'll get Legion in now. So hopefully he's good to go straight away. And then we'll have the funnel straight away up afterwards. No Ensign for you. Indeed, Harmon. Indeed. That was a little rough there in the end. So let's get Legion in. I'm not sure if I have Legion on my friends list. Let's have a little look. I thought I had Legion on my friends list. Maybe I do not. Let's pop him a little message. Where be you, Legion? There you are. You're up, bud. Oh, there he is. Hey. Why did you win? Legion obviously not very happy to face this forces. I mean, hi. Oh, I can't remember what Legion's build was. We did see it earlier on, but it does feel like a little while ago now. So let's mix up the maps, of course, as we have just played on this one. Let's go. I think we've already done Troll Country, I want to say. I don't know if we've done... What's the one that's similar to Eschen, but actually... It's there, Stellian Tomb. It always confused me too. We'll be playing on a Stellian Tomb here. Map is a Stellian Tomb. So be ready when these boys do start. I'm here to stream snipe my opponent. I love it. Before you guys start, actually, let me update the scoreboard. Legion. Legion is a super cool dude, been on the channel quite a bit as well. Does send me some good replays from time to time, and has been involved on many streams. So it looks like he is good to go. Hey, I won Dowie. Oh no. Be aware of Nakai. Yeah, Nakai is the Wrecking Forcer. You don't want to mess with him. No, it's not similar, Ben the Barman, at all, like map-wise. I always get them mixed up when I'm creating the maps for a tournament, because it's a Stellian Tomb and Eschen, they're right next to each other on the list. Yeah, Lizardmen brought an Olympic pool worth of poison to the field. Poison's so good here. Poison is very good. They do suffer a little bit from having too much poison. Like, for example, the Razordon Regiment Renowned is just pointless, because they've added poison to it, and like, well, we don't Eat it. So no one ever brings them. The Emacs and Barbs. They have a cool name, dude. Legion is my dude, but now that he's playing Dwarves, I'm not sure I can like him anymore. Oof. Oof. The Viking coming in with some harsh words there. Guys, if you are enjoying the stream, feel free to drop a big old thumbs up on that like button, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. And, oh yeah, it looks like we have the more defensive approach from Legion. So we didn't actually see his build earlier because his core final with Suave got kind of played before time. Yeah, we've just seen this build, so I won't go over it again. You know what it is for the Lizardmen forces. And then Legion's forces, we have Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards in the front line, going for a defensive posture here, taking the high ground, trying to make Obi-Wan Kenobi as proud as possible. We do have double cannon as well, and these guys will be able to snipe out Nakai relatively effectively and do some big damage to that Solar Engine and the Feral Gary. They're going to be protected by some Dwarf Warriors, and for a Lord, we have a basic Rune Lord coming in with a simple, is that Rune of Wrath and Ruin? It is Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. We have a bucket ton of Thunderers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bucket ton of Quarrelers in the 4 department. I think this is a 20 stack versus 20 stack fight, guys. We have a Gyrocopter with Brimstone Gun up in the sky. Sit him on the Kai the whole game, or the casters, and he will finish them off very quickly. Of course, you've got to worry out, or be a bit on the lookout, sorry, for the skink cohorts of Javelins and Chameleons. But it looks like Chameleon's been really risky, and actually going into the back lines, perhaps thinking that they cannot be caught by the Dwarven forces, which again is a true fact, but they're going to be needed for a bit of protection. Understandable. That's a grudging. Mate, I love Ben the Barman, your picture is a dwarf on Discord. You can't insult the Dowie. So, is it going to be a Lizardmen Dwarf final? Or is it going to be a Dwarf final? Let me know down below what you would like to see. Maybe do like a little beer icon or something for the Dwarfs. And if you want to see Lizardmen's, drop a little lizard or T-Rex icon or something. Sergeant Spaghetti has entered the chat. You what? Not very happy with that assessment of no one liking dwarfs. Dwarf gunlines goes boop. It does indeed. It does indeed. Let's have a little Savar drink. If you look closely in the top right hand side, you can see we've got a five-eyed alien Smilem from the forces of the blue team. It's a weird formation. It looks like he likes to do... What's this called? One inverted crescent. I'm trying to think what Hannibal did at the Battle of Cannae, although he started in the line, and actually the other way round. So his started like this. And then he pulled back the centre, and you end up surrounding a larger force. So it looks like he's just going to surround the dwarf formation, which completely and utterly makes sense. I'm actually a big fan of this deployment. But yeah, if he wanted to do a Hannibal, basically these troops, these Red Crescent Skinks, should be in front. And then when the Dwarven lines hit them, they would slowly fall back. And it drags and kind of sucks your opponent into a sack of troops. With kind of more elite troops on the flanks then surrounding and hacking down the opponent. But yes, yes. A concave! Thank you, Sergeant Spaghetti. You genius. Joseph Bugman was the only alcohol-associated Warhammer character I could find. I think that's one thing we can all agree on, is, you know, beer. I don't actually drink too much beer myself. I stopped drinking a little while ago. Looks like we've got beers in chat. Some lizards as well from Sandro, though. Dwarfs vs Dwarfs is going to be a fun final. We've already seen some Dwarf on Dwarf action, and it was a freaking awesome game with Logic's more defensive Dwarfs up against like an aggressive Dwarf force. So, just a sec for some prayers. Well, might not work against the Dowie. Let's go, bro. Good luck. Good to see Can League as well having some good fun this tournament, it would seem. So, Chameleon Skinks are immediately going to get pressured away by the Gyrocopters, who are going to try to... I don't know if... Is that a good engagement for them? I feel like the Chameleon Skinks will be able to whittle them down with just sheer numbers. But it looks like he was just scouting out, trying to see if there were any in those positions. And now at least he knows with the Rangers turning to face them. And Rangers not going to trade horribly up against them because they are relatively okay armoured. 14 a bronze shield up against that the missile resistance. But the Chameleon Skinks not going to have the best time here. There's not too many good targets for them. Big cannon shots coming in. Looks like they've clipped the Skink Priest as well as the Skink Chief. Getting rid of that Skink Priest earlier do fantastic wonders for the Dwarven morale because those Manticore summons are going to be a pain in the butt. But in comes the Red Crested Skinks looking for that lovely surround. Cohorts moving up the flanks and the Kai as well plod into the safety of the trees. He'll do okay up against the Dwarfs. There's no Slayers in this build, I don't think. So I don't think there was any slayers. No, Dwarf Warriors, though, pushing back the Chameleon Skinks rather effectively as well. Real aggressive gyrocopter play, charging to combat the Chameleon Skinks to force them into position. The Chameleon Skinks not having a whale of a time at the moment. Red Crested Skinks are starting to engage in the front line, but miners with blasting charges are going to absolutely roast them here. And the Feral Gary, hit with a Master Rune of Wrath and Rune, is taking shot after shot from this Dowie gun line. He is broken, he is running, and those cannons will be able to finish him off because he can no longer juke. Where is the Nakai? He is the hero the people need. Looks like the solar engine as well, moving up the flanks to fire down the rank. So initially, very well so far by the force of the Dowie. They're having a good time, but in now comes the flank, and there's nothing to protect the centre pocket. They've all committed to pushing back Chameleon Skinks or to the front line. Now we have Skink cohorts and Skink cohorts with javelins pressuring Rangers and Thunderers in combat. But it looks like the Dwarfs managed to beat down that front line so quickly, they can now probably pull themselves back to help protect the central pocket. Red Crested Skinks did overwhelm some Thunderers on this flank, and now Nakai is here to party. Thunderers getting some lovely shots in, but they are kind of out of targets at the moment to shoot. Cohort of Sotek as well, struggling in the front line. Skink Chief taking a bit of a pounding, but this Skink Priest needs to get to safety. Those Manticore summons are going to be huge. I would drop one straight away and just shut down a cannon instantly, or really start to annoy the Rune Lord. Rune Lords aren't very tanky. 120 armor is good, yes, but not the best melee stats. Drop a Feral Manticore on him and just finish him off. Nakai is going to be darting in now, trying to shut down the Rangers. Chameleon Skinks have finally got the upper hand by out-maneuvering the Dwarf forces, although it looks like 2 units will be overwhelmed by a Gyrocopter and some Dwarf Warriors, which is good micromanagement all round by Legion. I do hear a Manticore summon coming into the skies now, which should definitely just hunt down that Rune Lord and try and finish it off. But it looks like the Thunderers aren't going to be allowing this. They're trying to shoot into the Manticore and make it rampage before it can get on its ideal target. If they can do so, it's probably going to dive down on top of them, which is a not good day for them. Lizardmen now looking in a little bit better situation. It was a rough start, but actually, there's still a lot of Dwarfs on the field, which is rather scary. But Feral Manticore is going to hit the Rune Lord. Red Crested Skinks are now shutting down Thunderers left, right, and centre, and the cannon is in a pretty bad situation. Bestidon with Solar Engine is starting to push into the central pocket here, wants to start engaging Thunderers in hand-to-hand combat, no doubt. And the Feral Manticore has Rampage and is actually really struggling up against the Rune Lord now because there's so much crossfire. Looks like it's actually going to pop a Cold-Blooded on the Feral Manticore. Bit of a mistake. It does help with the leadership department, but if you Rampage, whatever target you last attacked, you will continue to chase that target. So he would have faced the Rune Lord anyway. But still, the Solar Engine is now in the back line on top of the Thunderers. Red Crested Skinks finally grinding their way for these Dwarf Warriors in the front line. But good micromanagement by Legion, pulling his troops through combats to get to safety of Dwarf Warriors, although the Lizardmen are just flooding this back line, and you can see a lot of Rangers are running for the hills. Chameleon Skinks can be used to chase off all these routing troops. I think these Red Crested Skinks, though, need to come back as well, start applying some pressure, but all of a sudden the Lizardmen looking pretty favourable, and they still have another Feral Manticore summon in the back pocket. If that Skink Priest is still alive, which he is indeed, he managed to survive, that's very good news for the Lizardmen forces. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are slowly carving their way through. Red Crested Skinks doing a decent job here. Rune Lord is being harassed at the moment by some Red Crested Skinks, but he did manage to escape the wrath of that Manticore. This is an incredibly close game still. Thunderers launching shots in, but all of a sudden, if you look around, it looked very bad for Lizardmen straight away. Then they came back into the game. You're like, the Dwarves may be holding. But all of a sudden, once the Dwarves start running, that's when the problems start coming. Because Skink cohorts can hunt down Thunderers, just harass them and bog down so many units. And that is allowing some of the larger creatures, like the Bastiladon, to do some big damage in the back line. As well as Nakai, up to 19 kills. Unfortunately, not been in the game quite so much as in the previous one, where he got like 90 kills or something crazy. But now things are looking rather cushy for the Lizardmen forces. Dwarf Warriors slowly being broken apart by Red Crested Skinks, and the pesky little Skink Chief as well is just cackling, darting and poisoning troops. There is a pocket of strength here for the forces of the Dwarfs. We have some Thunderers, we have Dwarf Warriors, Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, Longbeards, all that good stuff with the Rune Lord, who may be able to rally and try and mount a comeback. A lot of the Chameleon Skinks are out of ammunition at this point, but I feel like it would still end up getting swarmed, so he may want to go on the offensive at this point. Skink cohorts with Javelins are grinding and rubbing themselves up against Dwarf Warriors, but certainly not going to go too well for them. Thunderers trying to trade fire with the Chameleon Skinks, but those little Skinks, they're some pesky demons indeed, and they're going to be able to outtrade the Thunderers in this situation. Nakai is quite happily just chasing some troops down, finishing off some Dwarf Warriors. Gary is full health as well, and he's going to be a menace to deal with. Is now finishing off some Thunderers. Balance power getting very close to army losses. Looks like Legion is going to scrap this one out, and I love that he's reform the line, take them head on. Trying his best, his little Rune Lord here, to keep his troops in action and standing fast. Thunderers are going to unleash hell upon this Skink Chief. If we're going to go down, we're going to take every scaly lizard boy we can with us. And that Skink Chief is certainly taking a bit of a pounding at the moment. Not being able to get any good value on him, of course, this isn't a good matchup for him at all. But he's still been a bit of a pest. Looks like the War's Dragonfire Pass trying to get to grips with their Skink cohort enemies, but it's really good diligent play here by the Lizardmen. He's not giving anything away at all, just chasing down troops, ensuring this battle's won, not relaxing, not taking his foot off the throat of the Dwarven enemy, just playing it sensible and chasing off those routing troops before doing the final engagement. Dwarf Warriors are now surrounded by just poison darts from both sides. Nakai having an absolute whale of a time as well, just uppercutting a dwarf. He actually stands his ground. Big shouts to him, and they actually stagger Nakai as well. Perhaps he is not quite so mighty as we thought, but it looks like he's proved me wrong there, punching a dwarf warrior into a pile and puddle of blood, breaking the backbone of their morale, force them off the field. Chameleon Skinks can simply chase them at this point. Gary has returned. He is now firing into the enemy. That tree may unfortunately be blocking his line of sight a little bit. Let's have a see. No, it looks like it is going to be going through, and Kobe, it is going to catch some of those Thunderers. There's not much the Dwarves can do about this situation. They're going to have to slowly advance on a Bastillon firing at them. That's not going to be good fun for anyone. Wards Dragonfire Pass slowly carving their way through Chameleon Skinks over on this left-hand side, trying to claw their way back in. Shields raised as more Chameleon Skink firepower does come in, and it looks like Nakai just, vibing in the back for now. Gary has pushed up a little bit at this point. Interesting to see who he does try to target. Skink Chief as well. Uses up a lot of his ammunition, but not too much value from him. And this Lizardman build is scary stuff, guys. I really like 20 stacks from the Lizardmen. I actually have some with I think like an 18 or 17 stack with Dread Soaring. Can be kind of funny. But bringing Nakai, what a man of the people. Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin has gone down on Nakai. And it looks like with that Manticore Summon, Legion is going to bow out there. Fantastic game. Rune Lords are just reskinned Arch Lectors, but worse. Rune Lords used to be the meta, which is funny. Pokemon, you had a fantastic tournament, bro. Honestly, your build had an incredible amount of micro, and you still nearly pulled it through. I think if you had just a Sword of Dave at the end, you would have won that one. But fantastic play by Count Leak here, fighting his way into the finals. Nakai, of course, not doing anything. If we have a look across the damage stats, basically none of these units really did fantastic. Some of the Red Crested Skinks, doing okay, or doing very well. But it was just simply a swarm faction. Once they started shutting down the back line and chasing off these troops, there's really nothing the dwarf player could do. Again, nothing getting huge damage completely across the board from both players there. But very well played. GG stuff. GG. Awesome game. Sorry, chat, no Dari Mirror. We've already had one Dari Mirror, but we're going to see this Lizardman build for the third time in a row. And it's Nakai, though, so how can you not love it? Punch them in the face as fast as you can, as hard as you can, yeah. That's what you do. If you punch something in the face and doesn't die, you're not punching hard enough. That's the problem there. Nakai can never die. He seems immortal at the moment, guys. Oh god, it's Wicked again. What's up, Wicked? How you doing all good, bud? Thank you for dropping by. Wicked is like the OG lord of modders. He's like a mod on every YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure he was a mod before YouTube channels existed. And he just like floats around like just supporting people and spreading the good word of all these streams and so forth. So up next, we do have the legendary dwarf player coming in, trying to get a bit of Dowie vengeance here. So let's see if we can get him in. I think I've got him on my friend list. There we do. Aldby going to be coming in. Good stuff. So, which map do we want to do? I spoke about Shrosterhafen earlier on, so maybe we'll pop that in. Cool, and we'll be on Shrosterhafen. So, welcome Aldby. Let's update the bracket quickly. So, let's change this down. And this is the final, guys. This is going to be some scary stuff. Aldby. So we saw this build in the mirror match early on, and it is pretty scary. Shout out to Wicked D, thank you for the tips. Looks like Count Leak has been helped by Wicked D. Let me quickly update the bracket as well, make sure we're all good. Cool, I'm just going to update the challenge page for these guys quickly. I'm so impressed by Count Leak, by the way. Bringing Nakai all the way to the finals. Not the dreaded beard guys again. Grombrindle! Nakai, champion of the people. I've got to admit, I kind of agree with Walt Salt here. Walt the Salt. Who's a legendary warrior himself. I think I actually got a replay of Walt the Salt coming up on the channel relatively soon. Saying Nakai is the champion of the people. But we've got Nakai and Grombrindle. How can you... Actually, no, we've got Belagar, I think, with Aldby. So, good to go. Good to go when you lads are. Aldby is Grombrindle, everyone knows that. That is true, that is a fact. That's been proven to me. Settling the grudge. This is the definition of settling the grudge. We've just seen the Dwarfs lose to this build, so they're coming back meaner and tougher than ever. If I remember correctly, Aldby has a rather elite Dwarf force in the form of, he's got a ton of Thunderers, who won't do particularly amazing here, but he also has Ironbreakers, who are going to be absolute world beaters. They're going to annihilate all the skinks. We do have Red Crested Skinks, I suppose, but if he gets his blasting charges on them, they're going to be in big trouble. With the Hammerers... Oh, this is going to be a fun game, guys. I'm revved up for this finals. Need a drink, just a sec, no worries. Has played 2 games back-to-back. The Crested AP units will count. Yeah, I think the Red Crested Skinks are going to be huge here to see if they really can drag their weight. They've wronged us! It is true. Skinks are better against Saurus, it would seem. So it depends. So Skinks are better than Saurus against Dowie, it seems, says Anubis. It really depends on your build for one. But normal Skinks, they're good for swarming, but they're going to do literally no damage. So they're just there to chase down the enemy. Red Crested Skinks, yes, they got the nice AP, so they can do really good work to Dowie. However, they're far more susceptible to blasting charges, which is quite often picked. And they just get annihilated by blasting charges, whereas Saurus are a little bit more durable to that. So a mix and match can be good. A mix and match can be good. Don't worry, Fork My Eyes. That can happen to a lot of us getting our troops, like trying to babysit them and they kind of struggle. Thanos did nothing wrong. Oof, oof. That is a bold statement, Wicked. Who would win in a fight? Thanos, but... Thanos or Nakai? I feel like Nakai's got it. Saurus are slow. That is true. Saurus are slow, but I suppose you're kind of doing a slow push effort against the Dwarf forces. But here we are. I thought I picked Schwarzenhafen. Is it Schwarzenhafen? Maybe it is. It looks a lot like... Oh, yeah, it is. It's similar to Eschen, I guess. So we've been over this one build twice, so we're not really going to touch on it too much. Basically, a massive swarm of skinks, a couple of heavy-hitting dinosaurs with Nakai, Skink Priest, and Skink Chief Bros are going to be butting heads here up against the Dowie forces. But a bit of a reminder here for Aldby's squad, as we haven't seen them in a little while since they started the stream. We do have Warriors at Dragonfire Pass with Ironbreakers dotted in the front line and some Hammerers, and it's always good to see these elite bad-to-the-bones Dowie units in action. I never see Ironbreakers. If someone can send me in some replays where Ironbreakers perform like stupidly well, I'll quite happily cast them, as well as Hammerers actually. I'd love to see some Hammer and Ironbreaker builds from you guys. We've got Dwarf Warriors with Weapons protecting the flanks, an absolute ton of Thunderers dotted along on the hilltop here. We have Equine Miners as well in a reserve position. Going to be used those blasting charges to Kobe up and over these Thunderers to help protect them. We do have more Dwarf Warriors in the back line. Up in the skies we have a Gyrocopter, Dragonback Slayers, and Belagar Ironhammer, who's definitely going to try to wrong a few grudges here. I do seem to remember him fleeing from the White Dwarf in an earlier fight, so... You know, he's got a little bit to make up for here. Chameleon Skinks dotted all around the backs once more. Nothing here in this build is really going to be able to catch them. And they're going to be good just for chasing off Dwarf troops, stopping them from coming back. And once again, we're going to see a similar formation by Count League. As you can see, he's going for that big surround. So if we look from this side, basically just a big fat smiley face, which is going to try and claw its way into the Dwarven ranks. I send you replay of Ironbreakers getting murdered. Oh, glorious stuff. Oh, I think you did, actually. I can send you replays. I had I think a match between you and Grombrindle that I saw recently that maybe get cast. Don't encourage those dwarf boxes. I mean, can you do it without boxing? I want to see an elite dwarf infantry. This is the mission, guys. You've got to send me an elite dwarf infantry box where the Hammerers and Ironbreakers perform well, but it isn't a box. Try to sort that out. Belagar flying kick versus Nakai's left jab. This is going to be a good scrap. This is going to be a good scrap. Good luck, my friend. Well, I guess never ready for Dowie, but I'll try. I mean, he did good earlier taking them down. He's just such a good swarm build. It's a pain in the butt to deal with. Now, the Dwarfs are actually going to have to advance here, so they're not going to have too many options. The Lizmen force is much quicker than theirs, so they're going to end up getting surrounded in a central position where the Skinks will be able to wrap around. And the reason they've got to do this is because they've got to fulfill their attacking role, and a Bastildon with Solar Engine is going to keep these guys moving forwards and allow this force to kite backwards slightly. Of course, the Gyrocopter can pressure as well, so you may see an odd situation with the Solar Engine far and in, and the Gyrocopter kind of over in the distance, just shooting Skinks to fulfill the attacking. But it looks like the forces of Aldby are going to be engaging here. Thunderer's taking a little bit of a punch here. And it does do magic damage to Bastildon with Solar Engine, but still, despite the magic resistance, it still, does a pretty hefty wallop. Gyrocopters are going to be coming in and taking a shot to the face, not taking too much damage here. Skink cohorts with javelins are going to be in support, cobiing those javelins up into the skies onto the Gyrocopter. Should be able to fend it off, and good micromanagement by Aldby here, realising the situation and just falling back out of range. Although he's only falling back a tiny amount. These skink cohorts may be able to catch them just yet. More shots are coming. Looks like that one was a bit more of a swing and a miss. Javelins are now being thrown at the Gyrocopters. They do some pretty decent damage over the course of their lifetime, and more Chameleon Skinks are wrapping around, so we will be seeing a full surround of the Dwarf forces. But honestly, Dwarfs don't mind being surrounded. It's kind of their jam. They're kind of used to being surrounded, and now the Gyrocopters are going to be unleashing hell upon the Skink cohorts. Should be able to do some nice burst damage to these guys with their steam guns. But again, Skink cohorts aren't too valuable if you do force them off. Solar Engine does go for a little bit of a miss, and I wonder where that's going to stop. I don't think it ever... It's just going to keep going. Some poor village a couple of miles away are going to get smacked up in a moment by a big old solar blast. Skink cults of javelins are using all their ammunition up at this moment onto the Gyrocopters, not managing to take out a model though, which is kind of a big loss for them. Even the Skinks on the side of Gary here are going to be coping up as well. Big shots coming in once more, Skink cult taking some huge damage. Gyrocopters equally kind of getting ruined at this point, but still all three models. Dwarf Warriors are engaging along the front line in a rather janky formation. They kind of reposition his battle line, and the Lizmen are taking advantage of this and charging in before they can reposition. All of a sudden, these Dwarf Warriors and Warriors Dragonfire Pass not in super favourable engagements. Thunderers as well, kind of just walking too close to the sun at the moment. There's a bit of a micro nightmare here currently for Aldby, but you don't blame him. There's so much going on in one go. Ekron Miners are now going to start deleting Red Crested Skinks. However, Thunderers need to fall back into the safety of the back line. Over on this flank, Thunderers are going to be crossfiring in, trying to take down some of the larger threats like the Bastildon with Solar Engine. On the left-hand side, things are going much better for the Dwarfs. They've completely shattered this unit of Red Crested Skinks, or not actually shattered them, broken them, due to some Ironbreaker blasting charges, and the Chaos Sotek up against the Hammers, which is a good engagement for them all round. We also can see the added mobility of Count Leek's troops, pulling back down the left here and cobing in javelins where possible, applying poison, and the Chameleons have engaged in the main fight. Thunderers are all in a mess though, all over the place. Belagar sees the largest fin on the battlefield, the Feral Bastildon, and decides to head directly for it. Thunderers might be able to turn and shoot, but instead they are going to be turning and engaging in glorious hand-to-hand engagements. Thunderers are doing a lovely bit of crossfire into Nakai, who does tank the bullets, of course, because as we all know, Nakai is unkillable, before he does decide to flee away over to this right-hand side to try and help support these Red Crested Skinks up against the Dwarf Warriors and Hammerers. This is a really good situation for the Lizardmen, isolating such elite troops. Skink cohorts probably even want to flood in here as well and get the Chameleon Skinks applying that poison. On the left-hand side, the Dowie force is holding slightly better, but all the Thunderers are pretty much offline at this point. Ironbreakers, the real backbone of this Lizardmen build, Dowie build at the moment, forcing back Red Crested Skinks, doing massive burst damage with their blasting charges. Balance power still dead even. In the distance, we can see that the Dwarf Warriors have been forced off at this point, being chased down by Chameleon Skinks and Skink cohorts. Doesn't want to chase with both units. Pull one back would be a good idea, but good micromanagement there force them off the field. Dwarf Warriors raising their shields, but getting absolutely clobbered from all sides. Over on the far side, we have the first of the two inevitably Manticore summons. Hammerers fighting strong, despite the fact they've been in some rough situations, getting javelins thrown at them, Red Crested Skinks munching on them. They are up to 90 or 103 kills at this point, getting some okay damage value as well. Real being a solid backbone over here, and all of a sudden the Dwarfs not looking too shabby. Rocky start for them, as the Thunderers kind of got swarmed. We can see a couple of units are online. They're in the danger zone still, with Manticores flying in, Bastildons all around. But if they can rescue these Thunderers, they're going to be in a real solid situation. As we can see, Gary is going down here, unfortunately for him, and his brethren as well. Barry being forced off by Belagar Ironhammer. Look at that Dwarf, just going right after that dinosaur, going right up the rear end and whacking him with a big fat hammer. And Nakai has floated over to this flank once more to try and finish off these Hammerers. But these Hammerers, true champs, holding this left flank, keeping a lot of Lizardmen forces busy. I thought they were going to crumble a bit sooner than they did, but the Hammerers are up to 116 kills, going toe-to-toe with Nakai now, doing some glorious work. We do have a big Flock of Doom coming down here, catching a ton of the Dwarf Warriors. Now, Flock of Doom's not going to do huge damage to them, but it certainly does help. Manticore is going to be dissipating into the Sweet Night relatively soon. Thunderers have been allowed here to reposition themselves, and they're whittling in, taking down the Gary solar engine. This gyrocopter needs to come back right now and to start pressuring Chameleon Skinks and protecting the back line for the Thunderers. Bastildon, though, it looks like he's going to go down here, just 306 health, 200 health, and more shots do come in. 20 health, run Gary, run, be free! And it looks like the Dwarfs are going to let this majestic beast live to fight another day. Manticore has gone down at this point, and all of a sudden the Dwarfs have a really secure location, and the battle's almost switched. Instead of fighting this way, we're fighting this way. And the Dwarfs are certainly happy about that, as the backline swarm has now kind of failed for the Lizardmen. Ekron Miners forcing back Chameleon Skinks, and Nakai is just vibing in the centre, although the Ironbreakers as well can be taking huge damage. Just some massive poison darts and javelins are coming into them with Nakai munching on their rear end, but at the same time, they're hugely heavily armoured. Coming in with a whopping 125 armour and a bronze shield, they can tank damage for days. In the distance here, we have some Dwarf Warriors trying to charge into some Chameleon Skinks, perhaps in aid to try and rally these Thunderers, and this gyrocopter really needs to float back, but there's so much micro going on at the moment, it's far easier to see, obviously, from my point of view up here in the heavens. So, Dwarf Warriors of Dragonfire Pass helping to push through these Skink cohorts. The feral Bacillon trying to avenge his brother is ready and angry, and somehow these Hammerers are fighting. They are the true champs of the Dwarven people. Forget Grombrindle, forget Belegar, knight these Hammers. They are up to 118 kills. Pretty decent damage value, not crazy, but they just held the line so long and were a good bastion of strength for the Dowie forces. And I think the Dwarfs have this, guys. I never want to count out Nakai. We do know he's unkillable, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. But the Ekron Miners are now rushing Chameleon Skinks, forcing them away into bad engagements. And it's basically just the skirmishers left and a few dogged little skinks and characters for the Lizardmen forces. Now, I think we have a Feral Manticore Summon left, one in the bank. That could be pretty huge stuff. If you can get a nice surround again on top of the Thunderers, get a Manticore Summon on Belegar with Nakai, maybe there is hope yet. Hammerers coming with a glorious countercharge onto the Skinks, who are going to continue to push their way through onto the Thunderers. But you saw them, just as Dragonback Slayers, axes flying in the air, spittle being spat from their mouth as they charge bloodied into the fray once more. Quite happily here, up to 60 kills, doing decent work. Skink Chief finding some good targets. Let's see his damage output. Only 120 damage value. Is going to struggle, of course, up against the heavily armoured hides of the Dowie, but that poison certainly help him. Ironbreakers just tanking damage, and that's going to be the moral of this end game here. Is just going to be Dwarfs tanking damage and punching back with Thunderers when they can. Looks like the Skink Chief is going to be getting forced back at this moment as Belegar rallies his troops, reforms the line, and gets ready to sound the charge one last time. And it's looking pretty good. Gyrocopter has returned to the field at this point, going to come over here and assist the Ekron Miners, who have found themselves sandwiched amongst Skink cohorts and Chameleons. Chameleons don't actually have the worst stats, and they apply poison. With that lovely Gyrocopter support coming in, should be able to aid the Ekron Miners in winning this fight, although it looks like some Chameleon Skinks are darting over to help their brothers and sisters. Ironbreakers are finally going to break here, you would think. I'd love to see how much damage a unit took. I guess you can just take a look at their health, actually, and see how much it came down. But like maybe the amount of ammunition they took or something, because they've been absolutely hammered all game and done a fantastic job of it so far. More Skinks are rallying, but I think it's going to be pretty much game over. Balance power is very heavily in favour of the Dowie forces. They now outnumber the Lizardmen, and when you've gone for a Lizardmen swarm build and the Dwarfs outnumber you, that is a big problem. Thunderer's getting a little over-eager and just kind of pushing up. A little bit of laziness here. Looks like the back line of these Dwarfs, they decided to get off their butt and are actually going to push up and help support them, which is good to see. Gyrocopter taking some pretty big hits. I love that Count League is fighting to the death here, though, scrapping where he can, dragging down the Ekron Miners over on this flank. And if we do have that Manticore Summon left, perhaps there is hope yet for the forces of the Lizardmen. The kind of distance does shatter off some Dwarf Warriors, up to 65 kills. Pretty impressive display by the big Dino. Looks like he is now up to only 405 damage value, though, so he's been feasting basically on Dwarf Warriors and Miners and all those kind of lower troops. Damn, Albie going strong. Man, Albie is going in today. He is going in. He has been very impressive all tournament. He had a tough game early on as well with that Dowie mirror match, but managed to pull through that and is performing particularly fantastic here. So, the Skink Chief is going to be kiting back at this point. Dino's desperately trying to scrap. They have now shattered these units, so they do need to come back and start attacking, getting back into the fight, although it looks like they are currently attacking down here anyway. We didn't see these units. They might be able to help support. Dwarf warriors have been shattered now. Chameleon skinks floating back, as well as skink cohorts, who have done decent damage to the gyrocopters, who got 93 kills, despite the fact they get shut down a little bit relatively, decently earlier on. Thunderer's army pushing up now as well, slowly making their way towards the forest, where the skinks have decided to make their home and retreat back to. Took a nap during the mirror match, just woke up Mr. Dark. Well, Zachary, we've got some pretty crazy stuff. Slater, think without a beard! Yes. It's pretty crazy stuff. Is a tournament roster available? Do you mean the bracket? If so, yes. I'm sure one of the mods, if there's any in chat, can link you. If not, I'll link you after the tournament. You can see who was in it. Belagar Ironhammer taking shots by the pesky skink chief, is going to continue to retreat and just shoot him in the face, which is fair enough at this point, as the rest of the troops do come in for one last surround. And maybe if they can break the back of the infantry corps, they might have a good chance, because the hammers are very low at this point. It's just going to be the Warriors Dragonfire Pass is so healthy though, and this is a unit of Iron Breakers, not Warriors. 71 Iron Breakers is going to be a nightmare to try and deal with. If there was some Amber Spears, maybe it was possible. But unfortunately he doesn't have Amber Spears, I don't think. Just Flock of Doom and Manticore Summon. But if you can break up these troops, swarm the Thunderers with Skinks and Manticore Summon the Lord to death, maybe there's a chance, but it is looking a little bit rough at this moment. Belagar does push forward. His shield is raised, but it is facing the wrong way. And it looks like some shots are now being unleashed onto Nakai. Nakai the Unkillable, the man, or the beast, the myth, the legend, the god of war, does look to be maybe having his last supper here. 1,200 health. Still got a little bit left in the tank. Dragonback Slayers are going to be pushing in now. More thunderous shots do come in the Kai. Going to be going for a glorious last charge before thinking, I want to live. I don't want to die. And especially due to some Dragonback Slayers. He's actually dragging the Slayers into Chameleon Skinks, which is some really lovely play here by Count League, although it looks like Nakai is indeed going to be going down. And oh no! The unkillable, the unthinkable has happened. Nakai does rest peacefully in the dirt. Hammers have been broken at this point. Skinks can continue to push through, trying to shut down the Thunderers. Manticore has hopped on top of them now, as well as the Chameleon Skinks. The fight back is on, trying to live up to the name of Nakai, fighting for their Liege Lord. Skink cohort are starting to wrap around the right-hand flank, and a lot of the Dwarf Warriors are buckling at this point. 2 units of Thunderers are running for the hills. It looks like we have more Dwarf Warriors and Hammers as well retreating. The Gyrocopters are just about spent, with a few more Javelins coming in, and Lizardmen punching back. The left hand of Nakai has fallen, but the right hand is still swinging. Thunderers are going to be trying to fall back and reunite their forces where possible. And the big problem here is these Iron Breakers, so 71 of them is going to be really hard, as well as Belagar. Once again, another unit of Thunderers is going to be gone, and the Ferromanticore can now switch targets. Probably best going after Belagar. I don't think he's going to be able to do enough damage to those Iron Breakers in time. Little Skink Chief, who dreams, can now chase these Thunderers off the field, and we're probably going to see a lot of the Dwarf Warriors ushered off from the forces of the Lizardmen. But once this Ferromanticore Summon does dissipate and disappear into the realms of the Ether, that balanced power is going to be very heavily favoured into the Dowie force, and might actually force army losses here. Ferromanticore are doing huge work. This Manticore has been a champ. It's broken off 3 units of Thunderers and is now slaughtering Belagar, whose leadership has come down to half health, but the Manticore does disappear. If he had stood and fought, that Manticore, Belagar would be dead, and it would be Iron Breakers versus the world. That is very close. We saw the earlier Manticore summon already, so depends. A lot of these Dwarf troops are being chased off. Skink Cohort's going to make some fantastic value here as well. Thunderers should be chased off, and it's literally going to leave Belagar and the Iron Breakers with just a handful of Slayers left up against the Dino Wave. This is some awesome stuff. Fantastic fight back to Count League. I thought he was out of this a while ago. Oh no, we've got a bit of lag. Come on, guys, hold firm. Hold firm, guys. It's such a close game. I think that I'm 99% sure the Dowie have this. It's nothing to kill Belagar and the Iron Breakers, but Alby's game crash. No, Alby. I think. Oh, I have to see what Count League says, but it looked like it was over. But what a fight back. That was so... Oh, that's frustrating. I have to see what the players say. It's hard to imagine as a dwarf after a magical toad buried in a mountain. Alby crashed. Oh no, I'm just going to quickly message the challenge page to you guys. That's the challenge page. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to decide. I feel like it was over, but it was such a nice fight back as well from the Lizardmen. Oh, that's horrible. That is very horrible. Let's see what the lads say. I see that Albie's getting back into Warhammer, so we're getting back into the lobby and we'll discuss it with the guys. Well, I guess it was to win this one. Let's see what it says. Well, I guess it was Ward? If he intends, I give win, of course. Yeah, I think the Dwarfs were in a favourable position. I think Dowie had it. Because of Lord and Ironbreakers. But if he wants rematch, we can make it happen. Oh no! Is stream broken for you guys? It looks like it is on mine. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Ugh. I think it's YouTube. My internet is still running. Okay guys, well that's annoying. So my internet seems to be fine, but the stream seems to be struggling. So we are going to give that victory to the Dwarfs, of course. They had basically won it by that point. So I hope you guys did enjoy the stream. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content as always. And until next time, guys, peace, and stay awesome. We will, of course, be having more streams like this next week. Maybe not this format. I'm going to have to figure something out because that was like way too stressful to organise all of this stuff. It's working out. I have no idea what happened there then. But we're going to be moving on anyway. Because that is going to be the end of the stream. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Before you do disappear, I'm going to quickly try to find see if anyone else is streaming Total War. It looks like Turin is streaming right now. So I'm going to send you his way. Please do scream quack at him as much as possible in chat. Let him know I sent you over and say hi for me. So GG guys, thank you for playing. Sorry about the anticlimactic end there of kind of going out the last game, but Albie had it won, I think, and did some really good work all round and winning it for the Dwarfs. But again, Count Leak as well, the Nakai build, crazy stuff. So here's a link to Turin. Go over there, say hello from me, and enjoy yourselves. So until next time guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.